Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the brand new show on the So You Want to Be an Imagineer YouTube channel, where we wax poetic about the movies we see on a month-to-month basis. It's time to crack open our movie memoirs.
Yeah.
Say it with me, Dragon. Movie memoirs!
Movie memoirs!
Movie memoirs! All right.
Yeah.
Dragon, I'm actually really excited about this, man. I think this is... I don't say this in kind of a... I don't say this in any sort of negative way, Dragon. I think the format that you and I have come up with for this, it's honestly the most professional and streamlined thing we've ever done in terms of a podcast. Because it's, I don't know, I like it. I like the groove that we've got, man. I think that this is going to work out really well for us. So basically, folks, what we're doing here on Movie Memoirs is we're going to sit down and we're going to talk about, you know, everything that happened in the world of movies. When we're recording this in terms of movie news, so we're going to kind of, you know, every month we're going to sort of take some hot off the presses stories and run with them. Of course, Dragon, with this month being the, you know, we're recording this in February, very early February. The Super Bowl just happened, so we're going to be talking some Super Bowl trailers. And next month, I don't know, we'll be recording it in like very early months, so March. So, you know,
well, the point is there might be more movie news than others, like basically trailers, news, that sort of stuff in this segment. But in this case, more Super Bowl.
Basically, whatever's like currently going on while we're recording it, that's like topically relevant.
Like, I'm sure some Oscar talk will be in next time. I'm sure.
Yeah, probably. And then we're going to break down every movie that Dragon and I saw throughout the month. Now, this might change when it comes to the summer movie season and we start seeing more movies in theaters. But for now, we're just going to count every movie that we saw, you know, be it past, present, whatever. You know, rewatches. Well, maybe not rewatches, Dragon. Let's not go that far.
Like I watched Groundhog's Day. We don't need to talk about that. So, you know, we.
Yeah. Exactly. And I watched Scott Pilgrim for like the 20th time. I still love it. But anyways, so Dragon, you know, you and I both watched this this month in January.
Pray tell what?
Mark Sipka's special family special.
Yeah.
All right, folks. I just want to give this guy some love for a second because my God, Dragon, I want to. This has become one of those things where it's just so easygoing and it's just comfort food. And I kind of like, it's one of those things where if I wake up at like, you know, like 7 a.m. or something like that, and I need to be at work at 9, I'll be like, okay, well, I can lie in bed for an hour. I'm not exactly going to fall asleep, but I can just kind of like be really comfortable, you know, kind of zone out, turn on Sipka's family special, man. And, you know, I'm going to get some laughs. I'm going to get some chuckles. I can get like a nice sort of, it's a nice to the day. You know what I mean? And Dragon, I've been kind of using that as like a nice, all right, like it's a comfort blanket for me. But the great thing about Sipka's family special, Dragon, is that it's a stand-up comedy special unlike any other. And this is, Sipka, by the way, did not pay us or ask us to do this. I just wanted to give it a shout out because we watched it last week and I'm still sort of, you know, digesting it and rewatching it. And it's actually becoming a part of my positive thinking, oddly enough. So, Dragon, why don't you tell him the premise?
Mark Sipka, you know, he, you know, one of the big players on Just Giggle It in its history. One of the funny men, end-all funny men. A man who specializes in impressions. He does impressions. He does those voices. The guy's great at physical comedy. You know, Sipka, jack of all trades. He basically has a special on Amazon where he's basically marketing his family-friendly kind of stint on comedy and kind of doing like a roast unlike any other roast, where he's doing a family-friendly roast, first of all, which hasn't really been done since the days of Dean Martin, which really thrills me. And then he has his family on a couch that he is roasting, essentially, with his comedy, in center stage, and interacts with them as part of the act. I guarantee, rarely have you seen a comedy special like this one. Worth checking out. It's only like 50 minutes plus on Amazon, and it's definitely worth checking out.
All right, thank you, Dragon. Thank you. So tell me, Dragon, did you sit through that shit show of a Super Bowl game?
Just for the commercials.
Man,
Not even all the commercials. You gotta be honest. I just
anymore.
watched. What?
I gotta tell you, commercials aren't worth it for me anymore, man. It's like, social media is gonna pick up on the trending ones that I really need to see. Other than that, I'm good. I mean, I don't know, Dragon. Like, I know you and I kind of share the we're not really big sports fans, right? I mean, I have nothing against people who are sports fans, of course. Most of my family loves sports. And when my San Francisco Giants or my Warriors are in the playoffs, of course I'm going to root for them. But Dragon, my God, this game yesterday was just sad.
Okay.
I mean, I know nothing about football, but I just the stats on it. Like, they both scored a field goal. And then nothing until the first quarter. And then the Patriots are like, oh, okay, we're going to get one touchdown. Bye. We're going to win like our 8th or 9th Super Bowl. All right. I don't know. What do you think, Dragon? Just as someone who had to endure, Dragon, you had to endure that game. What was your takeaway on it?
Well, when I say take it with endure, really, I was really just kind of keeping it on mute, literally waiting for the commercials. I really was not dialed into it at all. Here's the thing, Tiki. I was waiting. We'll get into this momentarily with the commercials. I was waiting specifically, and you know this. I was waiting specifically for one ad because I thought it was going to be big and kind of something I was going to have to jump on. And one, they started the whole Super Bowl with that, so I really didn't even need to watch. Usually I watch the whole thing just to be safe. But this case, I don't even think I watched the whole game. I think I watched like half, and then I just kind of checked in periodically just to make sure. But again, just to keep.
Out of curiosity, did you see the SpongeBob thing?
Yes, I did. I saw that much. Basically, mainly.
Can you talk about that really quick?
All right, real quick. Of course, let me address this too, just to make things a little bit more relevant here. So, another bit of movie news. Just one other thing aside from the Super Bowl, we'll talk about this week is that we last year I believe it was last year we lost Steven Hillenburg, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Of course, we lost Steven Hillenburg, and there was a wonderful little tribute. I think I don't know if it was Maroon 5 directly or someone who organized. I think
it was Maroon 5. Yeah,
Maroon 5. I got to tell you, I thought it was a lovely tribute. I saw that was again basically the main thing because basically when I tuned into the Super Bowl, it was around. I think I tuned at the very beginning, which again kind of told me the thing I needed to see, and then I kind of checked in again during halftime onward to see what was going to happen. Basically, of course, during the halftime show, I then saw the SpongeBob clip, and it was like, again, while it was on music, like, wait a minute, did I just see what I thought I saw? And of course, as it was happening, like, oh my God, it's the SpongeBob clip. What do you know? From Band Geeks, when they're playing the Super Bowl and Band Geeks, the Bubble Bowl, as it were. And I thought that was so nice. Like, oh, it's a tribute to Steven Hillenburg. How sweet.
You know what, Dragon? It was nice, and I'm really glad they did it.
Yeah.
But you know what would have just pushed it above and beyond for me?
If they sang Sweet, Sweet Victory.
Yes.
Yeah, it would have been cool.
It really kind of bothers me that they didn't, as much as it was a nice tribute, isolated in its own right.
Yeah. So one other bit of housekeeping real quick. Of course, we lost someone I really had a lot of respect for. We lost Dick Miller at the end of last month. Now, Dick Miller, one of Joe Dante's favorites. Pretty much, he's like the John Ratzenberg for the Joe Dante films. I think might be how you know him. Remember in Gremlins, Mr. Futterman, Murray Futterman, the guy who's attacked by the Gremlins and everything.
Yeah, sure.
He's in Small Soldiers. He's the truck driver. He's in all the.
Yeah.
And I knew him from that, but I specifically knew him from his voice work in Batman the Animated Series and even Mask of the Phantasm. He's Chucky Saw at the start of Mask of the Phantasm. He was he played Boxy on Batman the Animated Series. Basically, he plays a lot of suited gangsters in Batman the Animated Series, and that's pretty much what he played, and he did it well. So I always had a lot of fondness for him. He was one of those he was like almost like a B movie actor. The guy was in a lot of movies. He's like in more movies than you could shake a stick at for decades. And again, like a real humble guy. And it's just, like he's always around. He's one of those actors where you never thought he was going to go. And, recently, he went. I heard it was of natural causes and quietly. But I just, I don't know. I'm going to miss him. And to keep it all film related, just everybody, I'm pretty sure it's still on Amazon. There's this documentary about Dick Miller. It's called That Guy, Dick Miller. It's literally what it's called. I recommend you all check it out just to fully appreciate the guy. And who knows, maybe if Tiki sees it, we'll talk about it next week or something. I don't know. Well, not next week, next month, I should say.
Yeah, I'll look into it, Dragon. I'll put it on my, because I'm honestly like on a documentary frenzy right now. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, but Nick Miller he was a class act, that guy, and you get to learn a lot about him. And that it basically was made in 2014. So, and yeah, it's pretty much. I think he left the business essentially in 2014. So I think it's basically literally up to all his acting history. So it's a really, really good stuff. Anyway. All right, so rest in peace, Nick Miller. You were one of the greats. Okay. So, yeah, Super Bowl.
All right, so in the midst of a really bad big game came a really good end game.
Yes, so that's the thing. So let me tell you a little spin yarn here. So, folks, I've been looking I've been looking at the end game ticket sales like a hawk, just waiting for those tickets to go on sale so I can get some Dolby tickets for it. Because I know that thing's going to sell out in a heartbeat. And I was so hoping for, again, basically, I think, Tiki, you pointed out to me that, you know what, they're probably going to do a Super Bowl thing. That's when the next trailer for Endgame is, because traditionally, a trailer happens, and usually when the second trailer happens, it says, get your tickets now at the end of it, which means the tickets officially go on sale. And Captain Marvel comes out in March, and surely the tickets will be available by then, but still, I'm imagining 2 months beforehand, as Captain Marvel's tickets were available 2 months beforehand. Same would be the case. And you know what? Not the case, but I will give them this. They didn't make me wait to find out because he was the first year right before. I love that predated the whole Super Bowl because they knew, the Super Bowl's going to be crap, but who cares? We want the end game. We want the end game. So I did appreciate that because I was like waiting, like, okay, I got out. Basically, I put on the game thinking, all right, okay, I'm just basically going to be on the lookout during the commercials and specifically the halftime show, and I'm going to basically have like Fandango booted up and keep refreshing it like a madman pretty much the whole game. And of course, when I realized it didn't happen, I had a sense of, it's not going to happen because they didn't have to get your tickets at the end of it. So yeah.
Uh-huh.
But unfortunately, that kind of bummed me. And now we got to be continuously like going almost no sleep at certain points. Like, okay, I gotta check and see.
Dragon, it reminds me of the time that I wanted to see Weird Al, and he had this whole website with his tour on it, and there were literally like every other spot was like, oh, get your tickets. And then for the one I wanted, Sonoma State, tickets not yet available. Yep. And I would keep refreshing. Finally, the one day I was like, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna do my thing. I've got errands to run, I check back midday, tickets sold out.
And that's like, pretty much the
no, Weird Al, no.
That's pretty much the paranoia I'm going to be dealing with. I was so hoping that maybe the Super Bowl, knowing when it was, okay, I know when it's going to come. I'm going to be able to get this taken care of. No fuss.
I'm sorry, man. I was just going on statistics and, previously established patterns here when I told you that. I didn't mean to get your hopes up.
No, you were half right. And again, the fact that it made sense that the next trailer would be during the Super Bowl, as like with Civil War and a whole bunch of others. And again, I just kind of put two and two together. That, okay, well, yeah, if it's the second trailer, the ticket thing, but it's a 30-second TV spot, so hence the no official trailer, hence no get tickets at the end of it. So anyway, so that's just my little story with Endgame there. So let's talk about it though. Seriously.
All right. So what do you think of this trailer for The Leftovers?
Yeah, they're definitely going. There's definitely a twinge of Leftovers.
I'm not saying that in a bad way, Dragon. I freaking love it.
Yeah, but here's the thing I loved about it. So one, I love the a lot of these trailers have some really good lines in them here. And this TV spot had one of the great lines to it. Some people move on, but not us. And having Captain America say, "But not us," rocks, man. It does. And I got to tell you, there's an image that really touched me there because we have this image of where do we go now that they're gone? Little support group poster. Now, I presume that's like a support group poster that was made since the events of Infinity War, but it could just be a veterans thing in general. Because basically, the big vibe I got from this is that whether it's intentional or directly the same thing or not, I love that people have probably put together support groups to deal with losing people in the snap of it all, the decimation, I guess, and. To me, seeing Steve Rogers alone there, basically at one of these meetings, just kind of alone to himself, feeling really alone, really sad, it was a great callback to Winter Soldier where he met Falcon, where he met where he met Sam Wilson, and he's just kind of sitting there alone and kind of lamenting over the loss of both of his pals, and again, just kind of the overall loss and aftermath of Infinity War. And again, it was a huge thematic callback to Winter Soldier, and it really warmed my heart, given that's my favorite of the Marvel movies. Like, oh man, that's powerful. That's a great image for the TV spot. I love it.
Yeah, it definitely seems like they're framing Cap up as the main hero in this one, which I think makes sense because we had we had Tony and Thor sort of competing for main character status in Infinity War. But let's face it, Thanos was the real main character of Infinity War.
And if there's a fourth, you'd have Doctor Strange, no contest.
Yeah. But Dragon, my personal favorite stuff was with Rocket, man.
Yeah, it's so trippy when you think just Rocket just has like one bit in like a 30-second TV spot, but it's a really memorable bit. It's like here's the big thing, it's Rocket on Earth, man. Rocket's on Earth. Rocket Raccoon is beat Peter Quill to the planet Earth after all those years. How cool is that?
Of course, my favorite shot, the big money shot that I feel like almost is sort of like an inverse on like the classic, like, group standing in the circle shot, is the the silhouettes walking in the abandoned Avengers facilities.
I loved overall the tone with that shot and with the whole thing is, and again, just with that great kind of quote, that great kind of one line, some people move on, but not us. And then we have a callback to not us. I love it. It's just an overall tone of resilience. And I love how that tone comes in there because we see all those teases like Rocket on Earth, and we have Tony and Nebula. They're kind of teaming up in space, kind of building a ship to go home in. And the big thing that got me is Cap with a shield again. Cap found a shield. And he always tightening the straps on. Now, here's the thing. This is a callback, most likely, to... I like that we don't see the shield because there's something supposedly different about this shield because I think it's going to be a callback to Spider-Man Homecoming. Because in Homecoming, we had that line. It was like of all the stuff that was being sent to the new Avengers facility, which they're at, which was the Hulkbuster, Thor's magic belt, emphasis Thor's magic belt, and Cap's new shield.
Mm-hmm.
Emphasis that Tony either made improvements on the original shield or he's made him a whole nother one alongside for Thor. It can help him out too, I guess. The point is, we have some new stuff coming. Again, we didn't get a really good look at the shield, but either way, even take the fact that he has a shield again out of the equation. Like that bit where he's tightening it. It's like they're all gearing up. They're all like suiting up like Ant-Man and War Machine. They're helmets.
I love the shot with Ant-Man and War Machine because that's such a contrast in personalities.
Exactly.
You have the guy that's literally the government agent, like Iron Patriot, and then you have the guy who's like the silly criminal.
Exactly, and of course you see Natasha. She's getting ready, a little bit of Natasha, a little bit of Hawkeye with some red lighting on him. So yeah, it's a really great kind of tone setting little TV spot. Really neat.
Importantly, we see. I want to point this out, Dragon. We see Tony and Nebula working together.
Yeah, I just said that. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to highlight that because, of course, one of the big speculations when we saw that first trailer and we saw Tony, sort of floating around in space, we were like, well, shoot, did Nebula just take off? And honestly, Dragon, that's still a possibility, but I think that Nebula was probably just in the corner or something when that footage was being recorded. Like, I could even see her, like, rolling her eyes like, oh, Stark, you're such a baby, when he's recording that video journal.
Yep.
All right, anyways, any other things to break down with Endgame? It was a pretty short spot, but very memorable. A nice way to kick off the Super Bowl and be like, hey, guys, if you're just an MCU fan, you don't really have to watch anymore. I mean, you can really stick around for the Captain Marvel trailer if you want to. It's a good spot, but, it's like the Captain Marvel marketing hasn't been that great anyways, so, you guys can just probably go home.
It's just, again, that tone of resilience, and I think it's the perfect way you kick off a Super Bowl, even though I have no investment in that whatsoever. It's still the fact of, like, yeah, our Marvel heroes are led by Captain America. He's going back in the saddle, like they're all getting ready to, again, it's the end game, man. They're all getting ready to save the day one last time in a big cinematic way. It's the comeback from the big defeat that was Infinity War. I can't wait for it, man. It's just it's keeping the hype train in a cool way. It's not saying hype. It's like hype. It's like one of those things, It's just kind of it's the laid back. We all know you're going to see this. Just buckle up, strap in, enjoy the ride. It's like one of those. It's one of those TV spots. I liked it.
All right, so speaking of movies that we're all gonna see because it has our childhood by the nuts, Dragon.
Toy Story 4.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so here's the thing. I think Endgame out of
To me, this trailer is kind of like it's hit or miss. All right, like it's hit because I really like the carnival setting. We've talked about that before. We actually talked about that mostly during the Disney debates. And I really like the fact that it's a carnival setting. I feel like that's a natural progression for the franchise. But what I don't like, Dragon, is I am like, look, we love our Key and Peele, Dragon, and of course we're gonna slowly talk about our boy Peele, just making such a name for himself in this industry right now. But man, I am not sold on these Key and Peele characters, Dragon. I don't know. What do you think?
Okay, well, first of all, let me say this. Out of all these TV spots, I felt Endgame was kind of the best constructed. However, the one I was most excited for and the one I keep rewatching like a madman is probably Toy Story 4 because one is Toy Story 4, and secondly, again, I didn't expect to see that at the Super Bowl for some reason because I heard there was again the whole end game of it all as well was that Disney was they were kind of being coy and like, oh, we don't know if we're going to bring anything.
The big one that everyone wanted to see was Star Wars, and I guess I don't know what's going on with that.
We don't even have a title for that. Who cares?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We don't even have a title for Star Wars. Yeah, they did see. I don't know. I feel like there's some odd things happening with that movie beyond just the fact that The Last Jedi like split everyone's minds in half.
When I say who cares with that one, I specifically meant it's like why would you expect that we don't even have a title for it? That's what I was. My logic was with the Star Wars thing. That's why I didn't even cross.
You know what? You know what, Dragon? To be fair, I would have actually liked a trailer that was literally just a title reveal. Just a 10-second title reveal. I think that would have been badass.
Fair enough.
All right.
Anyway, so with Toy Story 4, so again, look, I don't know what you got against the Key and Peele characters. Right now,
I don't like the fact that I don't like this whole running joke of the whole like butchering to infinity and beyond. Like to me, it worked for one trailer, I guess. But I don't know. I don't like the fact that they keep going back to that well of just like, hey, they don't know how to say to infinity and beyond.
All right, in all honesty, I'm not entirely certain if the one basically we saw a teaser, and you know the history with Pixar and teasers. A lot of the time they just kind of play with some stuff. They kind of test the waters on it. Like Monsters Inc. teaser, which kind of gives you an overall feel for it. And of course, how Mike and Sully just kind of entered the fray, which of course is not how it works ultimately in the movie. Now,
sure.
With that, basically that's what I'm saying. I think that first time when they're doing all the To Infinity and Beyond thing, obviously that scene's not going to be in the movie. However, possibly this like the actual like kind of butchering of To Infinity and Beyond might be in that one scene. They got a really good response from the kind of Key and Peele just kind of joking around. They probably either overdubbed that scene or vice versa. They kind of put in the kind of the first appearance of these guys to kind of test how it would play, and of course they kept it in the end movie. Maybe that's what the case is with that. In regards to the whole To Infinity and Beyond running gag, I'm not sure. Might be a one and done that just kind of happens to be in the marketing, just keeps happening to be in the footage. I'm not sure. But aside from that, the animation, oh my god, I was so blown away by just the look of this. The first thing you've seen Woody and Bo Peep in the fray, and the animation is beautiful. Again, like Incredibles is kind of the last benchmark we had in terms of the caliber of animation. Now we have, oh god, it's Toy Story 4, man, just them outside in the carnival environment. The backgrounds look so detailed. The texture mapping, it's beautiful. Oh god, it looks great. And we got a really good look at Bo Peep because we had recently another, I guess, movie things that recently we have. I think it was like a Twitter thing or something, like a 12-second little glimpse at Bo Peep, like the first reveal of what Bo Peep looks like. We now have a bit of a better kind of summation of what she looks like, and I love all the detail on her, where you see there are some chip marks. You see, and this is really cool. She has this cape thing on, but basically the cape is an inverse of her dress. So she still has her dress that's basically been used as kind of this covering kind of like shawl or like kind of like a jacket or something. She's kind of draped over. If you look, you see the polka dots. inside. And again, like I'm liking so far I'm liking the look, but I'm just not sure how I feel about the facial remodel on it. But I'm sure I'm sure it'll be fine. Just we didn't spend a lot of time on it.
I think that the Shaw might be covering up some sort of crack or something.
That'd be amazing. I love that theory. I really do. It's a great theory.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like there might be a lot. I'm just fascinated by the Bo Peep design. I just want to see more of it. Is what I'm saying. I just want to kind of fully get. I want to see where all that design, like if they're what the story behind those cracks and those changes are. Is what I'm saying. That's what I'm digging. Again, it's not even about Bo Peep. We got a quick little glimpse of her, and then we have. I love the introduction of this carnival set piece through Buzz. Again, it's great toy logic, man. Again, it's making the most out of the carnival setting where Buzz is in this prize predicament, very indicative of Pizza Planet with the claw machine. So I mean, I love it. I love seeing Buzz in this position where he's held up like a carnival prize and has to deal with the Key and Peele characters. And if that's how he meets him, that's a great way to meet him. But I also love I love Buzz getting the upper hand the last one. I wish the footage went on longer. That's the thing that bugs me. It's only 30 seconds. That's the biggest gripe I have. Like, this is all great. Give me more, please. I need a little more. But at least Buzz kind of got. Again, that's a clever bit where he buzzes his check. Get me. I don't know what it is, Tika. I was geeking out over this. It's the Toy Story fan of me. It's just like, I don't know. It's just like, see, it's been a while. Again, it's been, essentially it's been 9 years.
9 years.
9 years since Toy Story 3, and I know we've had shorts in the meantime, but the point is, still, it's been a couple of years since hearing Tim Allen voice Buzz Lightyear, just having Buzz Lightyear just get me out of here. And again, would you just help me get out of here? And of course, these guys are messing around, and Buzz has this really clever moment where he's got, with Ducky just keeps bugging the crap out of him, just kicks him in the head, and can bring back the old kind of rubber head gag with Buzz Lightyear, which we haven't done since the first Toy Story movie, so it's very cool. He kicks him, and he seals his helmet at the right moment. It's like the trap his foot in there, and he's flipping out. Oh god, it's great. Oh yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. I just wish it went on longer. Maybe if it had gone on longer, it might have grown on. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, like I said, I just think my biggest issue is just that recycled gag.
That's fair. It's fair. I think it's more marketing over that. But again, we're talking about marketing, so I guess that's what it boils down to. So I don't know. We'll see. Basically, I think
don't get me wrong, Dragon. Toy Story 4 is maybe my second most anticipated movie of the year. So
basically, I think it's all going to come down to what the first official trailer of Toy Story 4 is. That's where all the marbles are going. I'm talking about not a teaser, not like a TV spot. I'm talking about the first trailer. That's where all the marbles are going to land. That's what's going to shape the major expectation for that movie. It's going to be a big thing, Tiki. Big.
All right.
So here's the one we're going to spend the least time on. Get ready. Okay? You ready?
I'm ready, Dragon.
Captain Marvel.
Okay, here's the thing. It's only 30 seconds, but you know what? I feel like this 30 seconds shows off her personality a little better than any of the other trailers have.
I had the same thought. Here's the thing.
All we need to say, really. It's, like, I'm just psyched for the movie. I'm excited about certain elements of the movie. I'm still skeptical about Brie Larson, but I don't know. This got me a little bit more, like, cautiously optimistic about Brie Larson, I got to admit.
Yeah, to be honest, the marketing's been terrible for Captain Marvel. I won't make any bones about that.
Awful. Dragon, we could do a whole podcast about Captain Marvel's awful marketing. We really could.
And here's the thing, just to boil it down again, Tiki, in premise, I was already sold. Like, when just someone described to me basically the stuff we kind of see, but for the most part we see in the trailer, but just basically having it just. They could have just had like a Star Wars crawl of Captain Marvel on screen. That would have excited me. And I think that's really all they really need. Because again, that's cool enough. And just the premise of this movie sounds awesome. And it has my money already. But then basically this marketing campaign's like, maybe it shouldn't be your top priority. Maybe. Right. That's the thing, because literally everything is like, before I saw it in the market, it's like, okay, and this is going to be a very important movie. Of course, it comes before Endgame. Of course, it's going to definitely be very pivotal to that. And everything tells me in my gut I should be excited for this movie, and I should be. And of course, Captain Marvel is again they're thrusting all this. I think they're doubling down too fast on Captain Marvel because they're saying she's going to be one of the new big pillars of the MCU going forward and all this stuff. But again, the marketing's been terrible. And this TV spot,
the big danger with her, man. It's like if this movie flops and then she's a huge presence in Endgame, Dragon, I hate to say this, like this is like a really, really oh man, oh man. Oh, Dragon, I don't even want to put this into existence, man, but it's a slight possibility, all right? Like if she's a big part of Endgame and this movie flops, like this is the first MCU movie that just doesn't make a lot of money. Critics and fans both dislike it, and she's a big part of Endgame. Dragon, we're looking at an Iron Fist Defender situation.
Ooh, wow. Man, you made my blood curdle there for a second. Wow.
I'm just coming to realize it myself, but I'm rooting for this movie though, god damn it, and I want it to be fun, and I can't wait to see Nick Fury, and it's been so long since we've seen Clark Gregg on the big screen as Coulson, and I think it's going to be cool to see Ronan as the villain, and I think it's going to add some dimension to Guardians. Honestly, Dragon, that's one of the big things I'm excited for with Captain Marvel.
I know, right?
Is the presence of Ronan potentially like making Guardians of the Galaxy an even better movie than it already is?
Exactly. And Korath's going to be in it. Damon Hansu, he's going to be in it too.
Who?
Yes.
We'll talk about Jiamon Hansu. We'll talk about him.
Okay, so basically the new main takeaway from Captain Marvel here, the only other thing to talk about here is they finally they finally explained the big tagline that I had no idea what it was about, because I've been seeing on some marketing, some T-shirts and stuff, and I had no idea really what the deal with this was. Now we finally get in a little TV spot here. Higher, further, faster. We finally got the explanation. That's kind of what she says. That's kind of her, that's kind of her mantra. Like the whole
harder, faster, better, stronger.
That did cross my mind because I do like that song. At least I love half of that song. I love half of it. Anyway, so the point is, higher, further, faster. We finally have an explanation for what that's about. And again, as you said, personality. This is the first time we actually had some personality where she says, she's saying along the lines of, "Come on, let's get going." She's like all confident and triumphant and stuff. It's like, yeah, fine. Like that's what I was lacking. And all these other ones, she just looks like she doesn't want to be there. And now she's finally like, "Come on, hope." Like she says, "Keep up to Nick Fury or something. Come on, let's see if you can keep up." Like one of those, like, okay, she's confident, she's ready, and higher, further, faster. Okay, I'm starting to get a picture of who this Captain Marvel character is. She's got kind of an interesting past going on here. We'll see how that goes. Again, that's the thing. So they finally know where they're going with it. Unfortunately, I think it's just way too late in the marketing for all of this, for the point of people are going to be avoiding trailers. I don't know.
Dragon, I'm sorry. I should have brought this up in news, but I just want to kind of like this for a second. So Angela Bassett, Dragon, did you hear about what Angela Bassett did?
Well, I mean, I saw her during the Screen Actors Guild when she was accepting the award along with the rest of the gang for Black Panther. It's the last time I saw Angela Bassett. What's going on?
Okay. On the red carpet of the said Screen Actors Guild, she was asked about, so who's coming back for Black Panther 2? And she was like, everybody, even Michael.
Say what?
Yeah. And Dragon, I'm just... like this really irritates me because it's like, look, it's like here am I, here I am, like I have no right to criticize Angela Bassett. I really don't. She's a goddess of the industry. Let's call a spade here. But it really gets under my skin when actors think they can just either gloat about knowing more than we do, or what really bothers me even more, Dragon, is if she's kidding, or she just doesn't know and she's just kind of like talking out of her ass. And it reminds me of the situation where Jason Momoa was just like, oh yeah, man, Henry Cavill's totally Superman. And, he's totally still in these movies. And, the problem with the actors speaking out like this, Dragon, just the problem with this whole scenario is that it doesn't come from the studio itself. So therefore, it really just creates this awkward air of ambiguity around the whole thing. And I don't like it, Dragon. I don't like it. I don't like when actors do this kind of stuff.
Okay, real quick, let me give you the best story ever. It's gonna lift you out of like how the world should be with that sort of thing. You ready? All right, so I remember when I met Stefan Kapusek.
Uh-huh.
So what's so great is that he when I met him, he was telling me, and this is before Deadpool 2 came out, and basically this is like I guess later, basically a few months later, with the first trailer was going to drop for Deadpool 2, way before the first trailer even happened. So the point is, so I'm done the capsic, and without telling me at all what was going to be in there or anything. Again, I don't. He probably doesn't know well the whole thing or how the final that's going to go. Presumably, he's seen some scenes. He's definitely recorded the Colossus dialogue, but presumably, from the way he was talking about it, he had seen the trailer, and of course, he had know things about the movie. But he didn't tell me a single thing. But he told me, with all the respect the guy could muster, he told me. He told me, "Oh, you're gonna love it. It's gonna be great." And again, he was absolutely right. Again, I did love it. All that.
It was your best movie of 2018.
That's true. Yes, and that's the thing. I mean, he basically, without telling me anything was going to be in there, he was still hyping me up for the thing. And again, like kind of gave me that validation of, yes, man, this again, like I should be excited for the next movie with kind of still going into it as clean as I could, and that's what he provided me.
Nice, nice.
That's how those interactions and those interviews should go. You be all cheeky about it. You kind of, but you still like, oh man, it's gonna be so good. There's some really cool stuff I can't tell you about. You gotta be the salesman, man. You gotta be the old salesman approach. All right. Okay.
So getting back off to that, Dragon, let's go back into more of these trailers or spots, I guess. So scary stories to tell in the dark. Dragon, Scholastic Book Fair.
Well, yeah, I know the Scholastic Book Fair, but these books, no, they weren't on my radar. If you're asking me that, no.
They weren't really.
Hey, well, if they were, they were in that promotional video I keep telling you about. That might have been it, but that's the vaguest memory I could have of them. But really, I got nothing.
Dragon, for my generation and for at least the people that I went to school with, I can safely tell you that Fantastic Stories to Tell in the Dark were not books that we read. They were books where we stared at the covers and just like the covers themselves and the illustrations made our skin crawl.
Really?
And that's what they got really, really right about this trailer, man. Like the trailer is just, it's literally just like an image that looks like an iconic illustration out of those books, and it's unsettling and it's uncanny and it makes your skin crawl and you're just like, what the hell is that? And Dragon, you know what, if they can capture that shit for an hour and a half or however long this movie is, I'm there. I'm so there. Now, this isn't being directed by Del Toro, it's being produced by Del Toro, and I don't know, I just freaking Del Toro is one of the most frustrating filmmakers for me.
In a good way, though, right?
Yes, in a good way. It's just I love everything he does, but by the same point, I'm just like, why aren't you making the movies that I want you to make, Guillermo?
Guillermo.
I'm sorry. Anyways, what do you think, Dragon? As someone who's not as, have you even seen like the book cover at all with that art style?
I've seen some pieces of the art style, and I got a gist of what I think the movie's going to be. Where I think it's basically they're going to be doing kind of an anthology like vignette thing where you have like different sections of it that are adapting different books. That's at least the vibe. That's what I get from this little TV spot, how I think it's going to go. And I know, like,
which I think is a really smart way to do it. I think that's a much better way than the Goosebumps movie did it. You know, I honestly think the Goosebumps movie would have been better if it would have taken that approach.
Well, yeah, but then you have like the whole again. The second one I can't speak for, but at least with the first one, you lose the whole.
Oh, the second one was a hot mess. Well, I mean, it was watchable, but it was a hot mess.
Right. Anyway, so basically, to me, it seemed like a lot of really well shot cryptic teases at kind of at adapting stories. Like I looked into a little bit of it, so I have the gist of what the three stories were. Like one was about the kid who stole the big toe. You have the pale woman.
Oh, I remember the big toe one. Oh God. Ooh.
Again, the makeup on that pale woman is scary.
That one's got some serious body horror in it.
That one to me looks the most Del Toro thing in the whole movie. Again, I know Del Toro's not directing, but it still looks the most Del Toro-esque image of the whole thing. You know, they really I think they tossed out Del Toro's name a little too much during that.
Yeah, that's another rant I could go on, but I don't want, like, we don't have the time, I don't have the energy. It really bothers me when producers, you know, get all this, like, you know, they hype up the movie so much and then it's just like it barely even feels like that guy had anything to do with it.
The scariest idea is the one with the girl and with the pimple. That's the scariest one.
I remember that one too.
Yeah, yeah. Oh god, I found
A
out
lot of
that
body
one.
horror in these stories, Dragon, if you can't tell.
The
It was
point is, it looks really.
for kids.
The point is, it all looks really well shot, and I'm sure it's going to be it's going to be great to those horror aficionados, but not for me. To quote Mike Ehrmantraut, it's good, but not for me, and that should be for you. Well,
Really,
not
you're gonna say, like, even if this is like a PG?
that looks PG to you?
I'm just saying it's based on a series of kids' books, technically.
Either way, I don't think I'm going to see that. I don't know. Look, based on that mark, I don't know. I don't really think I'm going to be.
All right. Well, let's transition into another movie you're not going to see.
Us.
Okay. Us is my most anticipated movie of 2017 or 2017.
19, Tiki, 19.
I feel so old, Dragon. Anyways. Us is my most anticipated movie of 2019 for a variety of reasons. It's, of course, the follow-up to Jordan Peele's first movie, Get Out. It looks like it has an even more interesting and insane premise than Get Out did. It honestly looks a lot scarier and more intense than Get Out. And Dragon, a lot of it is shot on the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, which is where I spent a lot of my childhood. So it's got that factor going for it, too. I don't know. This movie just looks fucking nuts, man. My only worry with this movie is that it might be one of those sophomore movies where it's like Jordan Peele maybe throws a little bit too much at it, and it just ends up kind of being like, okay, like it's all interesting stuff, but it doesn't really come together. But you know what, man? Based on the trailers, I'm sold. I'm gonna be there opening night. I can't. I can't wait for this movie, man. The mood, the atmosphere, the costume, just all the it looks incredible to me, man. To me, if this movie lives up to what the trailers are promising, and granted, I know many a times I've been disappointed by trailers, Dragon. This is nothing new, and this is definitely something that could be the case here. But the trailers for Us they take my breath away, man, with the mood and the way that they're cut together. And if this movie is anything like what the trailers are promising, then Jordan Peele is just a mastermind. And you know what? It's like screw M. Night being the new Hitchcock. Jordan Peele is the fucking new Hitchcock.
Well, maybe like a George Romero or something else to get on.
He's better than George Romero.
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't that be?
I think he's already I think with one film he's better than George Romero.
Okay, how about this? How about this one? Carpenter. Huh?
Yeah, I could go with Carpenter. I could sign off on Carpenter.
I'm just saying it's not really going wrong. I mean, there's this Get Out I could buy with the Hitchcock, and this movie not so much.
Oh, this movie, I don't know. This movie looks even more Hitchcockian than Get Out to me. Like Get Out was more of a satire to me. That's the thing. It was a great horror satire, but that's why Get Out didn't get into my top 10. It only got in. No, it got into my top 10. It just didn't get into my top 5 because Get Out didn't really scare me. Dragon, this looks like it's going to scare the crap out of me, and I love that, and I can't wait for it. And I know that's the reason you're avoiding it, but hey, you know, we both have our different tastes. I clearly love horror movies. You clearly tend to stay away from horror movies. You know, that's all fine and good. But man, as a horror movie fan, as a fan of auteur cinema, as a fan of just like following a director's career, and as a huge fan of Jordan Peele, this is it. This is it, man. This is the movie for me this year.
For me, I'm just a weird guy who I don't like horror movies, but I like the making of the horror movies. Believe me, if they made like a
catch this when it comes on streaming, maybe.
This probably not. I mean, look, if again, Get Out was like one that had the very psych. That one got me because it wasn't like a direct like a horror slasher thing, but that one obviously was like a thriller, and of course the satire element of it. That's what got me into Get Out. But this one. Based on the marketing, I don't think this one. Unless I hear some really interesting subverted expectations on this one, I don't think I'm going to see it.
All right, fair enough.
Again, not because it's not good. Not because it's not going to be good. At least I assume it's going to be good. Just because, again, it's just not my taste. Personally, so.
All right.
A little too scary for
Okay.
my taste.
Now a Jordan Peele project that might be a little bit more your speed.
Yeah,
Dragon.
this one absolutely is my speed. Yes.
Yeah, the Twilight Zone. So Dragon, man, this is something that I would love to do an episode by episode recap on. I know that you have some problems with access. You know, you're not exactly getting interested in getting a sub to Amazon Prime, or I'm sorry, not Amazon Prime, to
CBS All Access.
Dragon, here's the thing. I already have a subscription to CBS All Access simply because of that wonderful show that I love called Survivor. So, so this is just like a bonus, man. This is like, you know, my CBS All Access subscription. Literally, I've completely ignored everything on it that wasn't Survivor, and now I'm going to be like, oh, not only is this something that I'm interested in that's not Survivor, but it's something that I'm really interested in and that I'm really stoked for. So. Yeah, I mean, I love the atmosphere of the Super Bowl trailer. You know, the kind of the Mr. Robot style, like hacking into the broadcast and the empty field.
Love the theme. You know, they play the Twilight Zone theme at the end, where he kind of walks through the door and kind of tease.
Any real footage? It's just, yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, Jordan Peele, he's basically going to be our Sterling Hayden character, and he looks again. He's a I don't know. He's got the tone. He's got it all down.
Do you mean Rod Sterling?
Oh crap! What am I thinking of with Sterling Hayden? All right. Yes, you're right, Rod Sterling. Sorry, I wrote that. I got that wrong. Sorry. Not remotely close. Rod Sterling. I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking of Sterling Hayden from something else. Doing anyway. But yeah.
Actually, I think it's Rod. Not.
I'm sorry.
I said I think it's Rod Serling, not Sterling.
Yeah, that's right. That's where I got it wrong. Yeah, if I got the Sterling, anyways, the point is, Jordan Peele as Rod Serling does look really good. Again, really kind of captures the tone and buys it all there. Of course, kind of he's basically kind of like Serling, but has this sort of playing with the interdimensionality of the Twilight. So it's not just like a gimmick. It's more of like saying he's kind of addressing it directly. That's the thing that really interested me about this new take on the Twilight Zone. Looks really
now, Dragon. The thing that I don't know. Maybe you can confirm or deny this for me. Is Jordan Peele writing and directing?
Well, here's what's probably going to happen to you. He's probably not going to do it for every episode, but he's probably going to be probably writing some and directing. He's probably going to direct He's probably going to direct and write the first episode. Then beyond that, it'll go kind of depends on who he's got, and he's definitely going to be show running. He's definitely going to be doing that much. I'm sure. It's everything else. Again, I don't.
Yeah, because to me, the more influence that Peele has over the show, the better it's going to be.
I'm sure he's going to have influence
on it.
I'm sure about that.
Anyway. All right. Okay, so I guess that's going to transition us into the actual movies, Dragon. Here we go. We're going to crack open the movie Memoir after about a good hour of conversation. But you know what? That's okay, because this is a long-form podcast here, people. All right. So, Dragon, you're ready to dive into all the movies that we've seen?
Yeah, so just to kind of prime and ready the people how we're going to break this down, right? We should tell them how we're going to broach this.
Yeah, go for it.
Folks, keep it simple. We're going to broach this. We're going to cover kind of the meat and potatoes of the films of 2019 that were released in January. So we're going to start with the films that we both have seen. Then we're going to kind of switch off between the films that that he has seen, that I have seen, that he has seen again. That sort of thing. Then after all the 2019 stuff, we'll go to the films.
How many years, Jack?
That's a little clue for anyone who's wondering what one of those films might be. Anyway, so then after the 2019 films, we're going to get to kind of the films we've finally gotten a chance to see or just kind of watched. Well, yeah, we're going to try to avoid this rewatch. Again, we already kind of covered that territory at the start of things. The point is we're going to cover the films that we saw in at the start of 2019, January. That we've been meaning to get to from 2018 or earlier years. We just kind of by some chance watched the film that we hadn't seen before, or the other one had recommended to the other, that sort of thing. So anyway, so 2019. Let's start off.
Okay, so let's start off with this isn't like this is the chronologically this came out around the same time as Glass, but this is the first time that we're talking about it, so we figured we'd slot it in first because we did a whole trilogy of Glass that we'll get into.
Well, this came out a week before Glass. This is before Glass too.
Oh, did it? Okay, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying I don't know if it's going to be
Let's
before
talk about Upside.
Yeah.
Oh man. Dragon, to me, this was a very average movie, and it had some good performances in it. And yeah, Cranston was good, and Kevin Hart was good. But man, it really felt like a B grade Green Book. I mean, that's really, like for everything that Green Book really excelled at, I felt like this movie just did okay in. Like, it's a perfectly fine, perfectly passable movie. I'm not mad at it or anything. I'm not really, I don't really have any stance over the controversy, although, honestly, Dragon, I do see how this movie sort of sugarcoats the disability somewhat. But I hit that into it. We're not here to discuss the politics of this movie, but I can see where the people that are offended by this movie are coming from. It's honestly the same reason why I hate The Big Bang Theory, Dragon.
Oh, come on. That is how is that even related to your thing against the
Big Bang? The Big Bang Theory is all about people with socially with social deficits, and it's all just like, oh, look how hip and trendy they all are. They're all hip and trendy and influencers, and I hate that. Anyways,
really don't think that's an appropriate comparison, but that's neither here nor there. Again, importantly, the correlation with the Upside, like how is, I don't get how's the Upside relating to false advertising? How is that?
Well, because it gets into the character struggles, but it doesn't really I don't know, man. It just I first and foremost, I felt like this movie was it was like 80% comedy, man. It was like 80% comedy, which is what it was sold as, I guess. But there's got to be a certain degree of I don't know. This movie, it needed a little bit more pathos for me, Dragon, and the pathos that it tried to have just didn't really work. I don't know what to tell you, man. I honestly have no idea how you feel about this movie because we kind of saved doing our thoughts for so you could love it, you could be on the same about it. I don't know, but really, I just thought it was average. I really just thought it was average. And to me, Dragon, my grading rhetoric. Like, this is not a bad movie. It's not a Serenity where it's going to be memorably bad or anything. However, it's also not a movie like the Fyre Festival documentaries where they are genuinely compelling and we're going to be talking about them. It's just a movie that exists, and it's just a movie that kind of killed time. And for that reason, Dragon, to me, it might be my least favorite film I've seen so far this year.
Wow. All right, so look, the Upside of here's the interesting thing about the Upside. First and foremost, I had no idea about this when I saw it until really I heard about. I looked into this after I saw the movie, and I was kind of blown away that the Upside is based on a true story. Again, I'm not saying it's not a biopic, but it's based on a true story in that it's there's a real guy. Basically Bryan Cranston's character is based on a real guy, a French guy, and believe it or not only is this based on a true story, it's the third adaptation. It's the third time it's been done in film, which is fascinating because it was done as a French film because of course the French kind of.
So it's the Star is Born of January movies.
Seems a bit unfair, but sure, let's go with that for simplicity's sake. Sure, if that helps. I believe there's an Indian version. There's an Indian adaptation, and this is the third one, which is the American version. I got to tell you, it has some great acting in it. I think Cranston, Kevin Hart. I love when Kevin Hart gets a good project. I think this is one of those good projects.
Kevin Hart is the best thing about this movie. All right, let's just give credit where credit's due here. Like Kevin Hart, this might be the best performance I've ever seen Kevin Hart give.
That's what I'm saying. I think the performances are really good in the movie.
Cranston is just being Cranston.
But it's awesome though.
Is it really? All right, is it really? Is it? I'm sorry. Let's pump the brakes on this a little bit, Dragon. I feel like the cult of Cranston is dead. All right, I'm gonna get really serious with you here for a second, Dragon. Cranston needs to stop fucking taking roles like this. He needs to start taking his career more seriously. Like we all know the potential to win an Oscar, and he was nominated for an Oscar, but the projects he's doing just aren't. I mean, this is a decent movie, but this is not going to be remembered in 3 months, let alone by the end of the Oscar season.
Not every movie has to be Shakespeare, Tiki. It doesn't have to be the next Oscar, the next Oscar contender. It was again, he did a good
Look,
job.
I really like Escape Room and Serenity, all right? So I know not every movie has to be Oscar quality, but this, I don't know.
Where are you coming from with all this hostility? The cult of Cranston is. Where are you coming from with any of that? What's wrong with that?
Dragon, what's wrong is that I'm sick of Cranston just kind of taking these samey roles. That's what's wrong.
Anyway, well, they had good chemistry, and I thought there was. I don't know. Anyway, I thought it had some good series.
It's like this is like if Hal from Malcolm in the Middle somehow got rich and developed a taste for opera music, was quadriplegic. That's exactly what this is.
Anyway, I don't know. I thought it had some. I thought it had some nice pathos here and there. And again, I thought again, primarily, yes, was a comedy, but again, it wasn't comedy all throughout. Again, it had those moments of severity, and again, it's just it kind of felt kind of true life. We're gonna have there's some comedy within the drama. It's a very sad circumstance, but there's some laughs there. And again, there's I don't know. I like that bond, like that arc. And I gotta tell you, I really did love the music choices too. He's my favorite Pavarotti song. I love it. It was like one of the main things. It had like a big payoff. I had a good time with the movie. I'll admit, I'm not saying it's the best movie of the year. I thought it was again. I'm not saying it's the one. It's gonna be the most memorable one. Again, it's a movie that released in January. First of all, which is never. It's kind of the dead season when you release a movie. But it was a pleasant movie. That's all it was. It was pleasant. I don't really understand where all that's coming from. I just had a good time with it. That's all.
Because it was average and it didn't make me feel things, Dragon.
God.
When I went to go see Serenity, I felt things. I felt things.
I felt laughter. I felt enjoyment. I was watching this. I felt content. What's wrong with being content?
All right, fair enough. Fair enough.
Again, Kevin Hart had a really good performance, and I think Cranston helped bring that out of him.
I mean, like I said, it's not a bad movie. It's just kind of average, and I don't like average movies, Dragon. There's honestly no hostility there. It's just I like movies that have more of a train wreck quality or that are genuinely really good. When a movie's just kind of in the middle, it just sort of tends to bore me. That's just how I am as a film fan.
All
right. Okay, so oh god, do we have to talk about Glass again?
Yes.
Oh boy. I mean I've only seen it once. I need to give it a second shot. I really do. Most if not all of my problems come from a mix of being unsatisfied with the ending and just not thinking that Bruce Willis got enough screen time. At the end of the day, it is a genuinely good movie. It's a good Shyamalan movie. Especially it's a damn good Split sequel. Like I'll give it that much. It's a damn good Split sequel because James McAvoy just kind of takes that character and just runs with it and goes to new stratospheres with it. But Dragon, I'll say it again, and I'll say it again. Glass just wasn't a satisfying, Unbreakable sequel for me, and that's the problem with Glass.
I think Glass is definitely complicated to say the least. It's too ambitious towards the end, and it's a film that's a few years too late. I think that hurts it. And again, but at the same time, based on echoing what kind of I've been saying about Glass, but again, just kind of give kind of a reflection on the month of January. I mean, Glass. I respect what it was going for. You know, it's a nice reunion piece, but I gotta admit, the more and more you stew on it, the more you hold on the microscope, it doesn't hold up the scrutiny well. It doesn't. However, again, it's got some good performances. You know, it's the reunion, basically the reunion piece quality and this kind of the trilogy aspect of it all is the reason to kind of go back to it and finish it and watch it out. It has a lot of good qualities to it, but again, unfortunately, it doesn't really. Again, with how it ends, it's got some holes and just some of the stitching comes loose if you catch my meaning, you know.
Yeah.
Basically, we did some twists that kind of undid the whole versus what Shyamalan usually does. At least what he did with the other two, where the twist kind of helped strengthen the whole. And speaking of those, real quick, we were preparing for Glass and rewatching kind of the two big lead ups for the E Train trilogy.
Yeah, and Unbreakable is one of my favorite movies ever made.
Yes, Unbreakable. To put it simply, Unbreakable, great rewatch. I had a great rewatch.
It might be in my top 10.
I had a great rewatch with Unbreakable, and to me, personally, it's like M. Night. Again, bear in mind, I haven't seen all the Shyamalan movies, but it's kind of M. Night Shyamalan at his peak for me, and I think many people would agree with that.
I mean, I think Unbreakable is M. Night Shyamalan doing peak drama, and I think Signs is M. Night Shyamalan doing peak suspense. That's kind of where I draw the line there.
All right, sure.
Out of any of the Shyamalan movies, I think you'd really enjoy Signs.
Right. All right, so then we have Split, and of course, Split has that. I still love the opening of Split. I watched that movie for the opening alone. I got to tell you, so I love the opening of Split, and again, the performance on McAvoy. It's great. I mean, the really only drag on Split is kind of the Dr. Fletcher exposition here and there, but it's a solid movie.
Flick it. Oh yeah, Split is it's a tour de force for McAvoy for sure.
Yeah,
and it was kind of the big The Visit was Shyamalan sort of like dipping the toe back in the water, like, oh look, it's Shyamalan put out a movie that's not terrible, and then Split was like, oh shit, Shyamalan put out a movie that's almost going head to toe with some of his big guns. I mean, you couldn't call Split as good as Unbreakable, but you might be able to compare Split to something like Signs.
Sure.
All right. So let's see. Okay, so let's break down the Fyre, Dragon. Let's light the fire.
Ring of Fire.
Oh boy. All right. So this is what all the internet is talking about. We really wanted to get a podcast out, but we had technical difficulties about it. Darn you, Hangouts. But Dragon, Fyre Fest, of course, the two documentaries are Fyre, the story of the greatest party that never happened, and then
on
Fyre.
Netflix.
Out of the two of them, I do Dragon. Out of the two of them, I got to admit, watching them more and more, I think I vastly prefer the Hulu one.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think the Hulu one is infinitely more rewatchable. It's more digestible, and it's got that Billy McFarland interview, man. I mean, the Netflix one has certain moments that are really memorable, but I just think that the Hulu one, especially with that McFarland interview, just seeing Billy there squirming in his chair, it just adds a whole nother dimension and a whole nother layer of just compelling, oh man, I really have to see where this goes. That I don't know, to me, Fyre is just sort of it's just kind of like a recap of the facts, really. I honestly have a hard time rewatching Fyre because I think it's a little dry.
Interesting. So Fyre, the greatest party that never happened on Netflix. So it's directed by Chris Smith, who directed Jim and Andy. So I really liked his work, and I like seeing more from him. So one level I do like that with Fyre, and basically what both of these movies are. So this is Fyre Fraud on Hulu. They're both. I think it's fascinating seeing kind of how they're approaching their again. And they even mentioned this in Fyre Fraud that there's another documentary in the works, which I'm pretty sure is referencing Fyre, the greatest party that never happened. So. it's so trippy that we have both of these movies coming out the same year at the same time, almost competing with each other here, and they're basically both stories of failure, and that I thought was really interesting. They're both kind of stories of failure, and Fyre is about it's a story of how you respond in the face and in the trenches of failure. And I really identify with that story, and I really kind of like it's kind of putting you in the thick of it with the people on the ground floor, so to speak. I really love the ticking clock element. I think it's riveting, and I gotta admit, on a rewatch, it's not as slow as I thought it was in the beginning. It's a little bit of a drag at the start of it before things kick off. However, on the other end of the spectrum, here we have Fyre Fraud. Now, Fyre Fraud is about the root causes for a historic failure and kind of the why of it all. It's kind of the systemic, kind of like what the kind of the culture that led to this failure that was Fyre Fraud, and it's more about like Fyre is about the event itself, where Fyre Fraud is about the fall of one man with a ripple effect, the one man being Billy McFarland. Now, I find Fyre Fraud, it's informative. Here's the problem though. I think stylistically, I easily like Fyre more than Fyre Fraud. However, I'm not going to say that Fyre Fraud's without spectacle. It's not without its intrigue and stuff that I really like about it. And they're both good. I want to make that clear. I think these are both really well-made documentaries. I do, and both very different. I like that they're both kind of different. So, Fyre Fraud, for me, it's a little too heavy on the clips that aren't Fyre Festival related. That's the problem for me, because we keep. On the first watch, I was like, yeah, this is cool. But then on a rewatch, like, wait, man, there's going to the well a little too much on this. Recently, random Family Guy clips where we're using things to spell out the points that people say. Yeah, we're going a little.
Okay, well, to be fair on the clips, there is one clip that I was so glad that they included.
I know, yeah, we definitely needed that clip, yeah.
Where is Jaw?
And I'll admit, that's the thing. I think basically that sort of thing, Tiki, is what I wish you could kind of fuse the documentaries together in a way. I really do. Where Fyre was missing kind of that explanation of who the heck is this Ja Rule character, and like where's basically the thing that would have filled in for that gap at the beginning. Basically, it's like
if you haven't seen the Chappelle Show bit,
pretty much.
Because that really is the joke of Ja Rule's presence in this whole madness that is Fyre Festival. It's just like, this is a guy that really had no business headlining anything.
That's the thing. Fyre Fraud's all about kind of the culture that breeds kind of your Billy McFarlands and everything. It's about the millennial culture and everything. And basically, Fyre, it kind of abbreviates that. And again, I respect the choice to abbreviate, but by the same token, it makes me wait for the abbreviation to be over till we get to the story. And I'm still, again, they're trying to keep it light, but at the same time, I got to wait for that to pass before I'm really into the documentary, where Fyre Fraud is playing with the format a little bit. It kind of starts off with the intrigue, and then, but here's the problem. You have stretches of like, okay, we're saying the same thing a few times, and then, okay, plot. And basically, then from that point onward, you have like sporadically, you'll have points of like, okay, we're just kind of hitting the same beats a little frequently here. But again, on the whole, where my favorite bit in Fyre Fraud is towards the very end, where it's Billy McFarland squirming in his chair. Of course, you're right, that's the big get. They got Billy McFarland, which is great, and of course he's there because he's desperate for money, and that's why he's there and eating crow there, which is great. But here's the thing I love most about it, though, Tiki. I love when they've had enough of them, and again, it's towards the end when they get away with this, where basically it's a bit right before he takes the break, where he says, okay, has anyone ever called you a compulsive liar? And he says, okay, just tell me one thing I've said here that isn't true. And they bring up the Magnesis fact. Like how many people signed up for Magnesis, and basically the number.
I like how they just have like on record, like they're just like they probably have a person there, like a note keeper, keeping track of every single thing he says that contradicts himself. You know, they are on top of it.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying. So that's the thing I really, again, as much as I like, again, personally, as a film, I like Fyre more, but as just kind of it's just something informative and learning about the event. Again, Fyre Fraud kind of has that. But again, with Fyre Fraud, though, basically what I'm getting is,
you know what? I'm gonna give you the perfect analogy here. I think Fyre is probably the better movie. I think Fyre Fraud is probably the better documentary.
Not bad. It's not bad.
Because you're right, Fyre is more cinematic. It's more like on ground level, and there's like that ticking clock element. I feel like it's more suspenseful. Whereas Fyre Fraud, like I said, like Fyre Fraud, there's more of a lighthearted quality to it, but at the same time, it's like it's almost like a public lynching in a way. You know what I mean? It's almost like just like McFarland is just this clown who we can all just sort of point and laugh at, and he's just like, you know, he's so desperate, Dragon. He's a hooker who doesn't have any hooks.
Anyway,
he's just selling himself. He's just selling himself.
That's the thing. I almost wish we could have those interludes because I love the introduction of Billy McFarlane in Fyre Fraud, where he was the Wonderkin. He had that crayon business, so that story about the crayon thing. That's what I would have loved to have at the opening of Fyre if we could have gotten it. Basically, I think would have kind of jazzed up the front of that movie a little bit. And
yeah, of course, I will admit, when I first started watching Fyre, I knew who Ja Rule was. But I had no freaking concept of who this Billy McFarlane.
Did you, Tiki? When I sent you when Google Hangouts screwed us over that one time, did you look at Max? Did you look at the actor I told you to look at?
No, I didn't get a chance to.
Well, that's just great. All right. Anyway,
why is that the guy you would cast for Billy McFarlane?
Yes, and it's remarkable. And think it's just it'll have you gobsmacked when you see the guy. How perfect it would be in terms of casting for anyone who's wondering. Max Greenfield. Anyway, so oh yeah, so basically again the big kind of so Fyre, you have this great bit where it's I love we had Andy King, this poor guy who has to he's kind of in charge of kind of the leading the event and everything. Basically, Andy here is kind of like the number 2 man almost. Andy basically, when the documentary turns into a survival thing where people could be taken hostage and they're all trying to get off the island, that's where that to me is kind of one of the big peaks there. Like that's where that's where a lot of the ticking clock element really kind of pays off in that documentary. And in Fyre Fraud, though, as I was saying with Billy McFarlane, you have a bit where the magnesis thing, and the thing that I love in the editing, and this is where I think they're using the thing really well. They have a voice where it's like kind of like the Macintosh voice. And it's, I think it's a little overused, but when they use it right, my God, do they use it right? And they use it perfectly when it's like, not true, not true, not true. As they keep showing the clips of it and kind of interjecting with him trying to say, the whole like, that basically contradicting himself. And that was wonderful. That's what I'm saying. Both of these are excellent documentaries, but very different. And one more documentary film, the other one just kind of straightforward documentary. Both solid, though. Okay.
I'm definitely curious to see, as if this year's Best Documentary category was a controversial, Dragon. Perhaps something that the Academy probably should have given the award to, let alone nominated in the first place, that didn't get nominated. Not like that happened or anything.
Right.
But I'm very curious to see if either of these two get nominated for Best Documentary, because it's got people talking, if anything else.
Sure.
All right. So now we're going to go on to individual movies that both of us, you have won, and then we'll kind of round things out with some movies that are kind of back in some in 2017 that we just recently got around to watching, so we'll share our thoughts with you guys about them. Oops.
Oh, a quick shout out to Subpar in the comments, by the way.
Nice. Hold on.
All
right. Lost my damn it. Sorry. You guys don't need to be knowing my friend's favorite private conversation. Dragon, what do you know about Escape Room?
It has Tessa Thompson in it.
Yes, it does.
And it has a cool poster with like puzzle pieces on it, right?
Yes.
And does it involve an escape room?
Yes, it does.
Which is basically one of the things where I've seen a few escape rooms actually where you're in the room, you have to piece together clues. It looks really cool, by the way. I've actually seen one with Chris Evans. He hosted it. Basically, it was really cool. It was Captain America themed. It was awesome.
It's also got Deborah Ann Wool.
Oh yes. Oh, that's one. Yes, yeah, the great. I love Deborah Ann Wool. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing with Escape Room. It's not a great movie, but my God, like for literally like a first week of January horror movie, Dragon, it ain't bad. It really ain't bad, man. I mean, it's like it falls apart towards the end, and it kind of reminds me of Glass, where in the last 15 minutes or so, it's just like, all right, and now we got to beef it up. We got to twist and conspiracies and secret shadow societies. And I'm just like, guys, you already had it. You already had a good movie. And so, Dragon, like with Escape Room, there's just several sequences in a row. Like, I would say the whole first act and like the whole first two acts, I would say, is like they get to the escape room stuff very quickly. There's like maybe 2 or 3 scenes establishing some of the characters. We don't even establish most of the characters before we even meet them in the escape room. Economic movie. It's a very Jason Blum style economic movie in its time. But once we get to the escape room stuff, it's really fun, man. I mean, it's like a video game in a good way. It's like there's there's one room that's like really hot, and it's almost like a don't touch the floor is lava type scenario. There's another room that simulates being caught outside in a blizzard, and there's like hypothermia and mental stuff going on there. And then there's another room that's completely upside down. And Dragon, it's all really cool stuff, and it's really high concept, and I like it a lot. And Deborah Ann Wool has some really great stuff to do in the upside down sequence, which is the best sequence of the movie.
Was there an upside down Poncio?
No, there was not an upside down Poncio.
That would have made it better.
Hey guys, I don't know why you guys are so freaked out. This happens every so often. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
It'll be a crazy day for me. Going to the store, buying some milk upside down.
All right.
Upside down Poncio.
Yeah, I mean, Dragon, at the end of the day, is this movie going to make it into my top 20 movies of the year?
I don't think so.
Freaking not. Like, probably not. But it's not bad for what it is. And it's probably one of the best, if not the best, first week of January horror movies I've ever seen. That's not, like, it's not in high company, but it kind of rises to the top of the mediocrity. Like I said, the last 20 minutes goes a little crazy, and it really reminds me of Glass. Except, unlike, with Glass, I have, like, the asterisks of being really emotionally invested in those characters, whereas this is just, like, dumb 20-something, pretty people, so I'm not nearly as invested in them. And so, therefore, when the movie goes really dumb, I don't really care as much. So, overall, I do think this is a slightly better movie than Glass.
Okay.
All right, Dragon, regale us with your movie.
Okay, so finally, I watched Reign of the Supermen. So this was the DC original animated film that was readapting Death of Superman. Because it was way back. The first DC original animated film they did was Superman Doomsday, which of course adapted the Death of Superman event from the comics, from way back 1993. When they killed off Superman, they made an animated movie that kind of, unfortunately, this is the first one they did, so they kind of were only able to do it within like 70, basically an hour and change. So then, of course, years later, they finally were going to do it upright like they did with Dark Knight Returns and do it in 2 parts. Of course, Tiki and I, we did a commentary on Death of Superman, and at some point we're going to get around to doing Reign of the Superman, so finally I was able to watch it. And the big continuation, of course, breaking it down like first installment's the death, second installment is what happens after the death, which the first movie way back when didn't broach at all right, where they finally did it like as verbatim to the comic as they could. The 4 Supermen who replaced Superman in his absence. And it's the big question of like, we're always looking for the next Superman that's never going to beat the original, that sort of story. So Reign of the Supermen, I had a lot of expectation. Oh, I had expectation for based on the first one, because the first one, it's so remarkable. You look at last year. Last year we had a number of the, now I'm going to try to keep this as abbreviated as I can. Let's just say the DC original animated movies, the line of movies they've done. You have your movies that are basically adaptations of stories. Then you have your stories that are this like in continuity line, which essentially is the animated equivalent of the DCEU. However, oddly enough, better structured and better planned out than the DCEU. That's the thing. At least they knew exactly. They had like there's a continuity. They know exactly where they're going with things. They're not really that good, but at least they know where. At least they can keep it straight. Is the point, folks. At least it's consistency, and they have like the voice cast and the whole shebang. Anyway, so the point is, those movies traditionally were not good. And in the last year or so, they've been kind of getting better. And last year, they had the tremendous strides in where basically they found out let's not like ball and chain ourselves with all the continuity stuff. Let's not basically when one of those movies would fail, they'd be stuck with making the next one a continuation of. That's usually how it would go. And now they kind of found a way of let's just use this animation style and that continuity, but basically use it sparingly so we just tell good stories. That basically this format gives us a chance to basically do a new version of it. That's basically what they did. So we had Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, which is wonderful, but again, in continuity and actually made sense. And then you had Death of Superman. Death of Superman, again, basically that in continuity version, they were terrible at doing Superman. They finally got it right with Death of Superman. So again, the point is them turning it around big time with Death of Superman got me excited for Reign of the Superman. I got to tell you, Reign of the Superman, after all that hype for Death of Superman, I got to tell you, not as good as Death of Superman, but better than it's still better than the in-continuity stuff. That's the thing. Still better than the in-continuity stuff, but I mean, compared to like Suicide Squad and the first Death of Superman, it's not to the same level as those. It's like a C. If those are like A's or B pluses, it's a C, but it's a solid C,
Yeah, fair enough.
It makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Compared to the other ones where it's just like, what is going on here? This one you can follow, and here's where I respect that. I'm not going to bore you to tears. At some point we'll get through it all, I guess, but it's the ideas and the story is there. Like everything is there. All the components for a good movie are there, and they do deliver enough. They deliver enough. There are a lot of cool things in it. Again, it's pretty. It's pretty on the money for what happens in the comic. Again, with that new framework where they kind of made some smart choices in the storytelling, and all the storytelling choices do pay off, and they are there. They just don't quite sing as much as they did in Death of Superman, where you felt it's not as emotionally involved as Death of Superman was. You don't have like a Bibbo scene that makes you weep at the end of Death of Superman like it did for us.
Mm.
That's the thing. So Reign of Superman is just it's a solid ending, but it's not not as grand as I was hoping it was going to be. But again, could have been a lot worse. It was solid.
Any more Fabian?
Yes, there's more Fabian, and it's great.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
I think so. That was the cool thing. It's I won't tell you how or anything, but there's definitely there's more Fabian than there was in the last movie.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Well, we already did a podcast that literally was as long as the movie itself, breaking down Serenity beat by beat. Dragon, you haven't seen Serenity, but it feels like you've seen Serenity. So why don't you tell the good folks what Serenity's about?
Oh god, it's basically a train wreck. No, it's a shipwreck. No. Here's what Serenity is. Serenity is well, wait, I can't spoil it. So okay, let's see. Serenity, folks, essentially is Matthew
It's
McConaughey.
A sexy fishing noir.
I gotta tell you, it's actually the best way I could put it. It's pretty much it. The fishing noir.
That's actually how the director describes it.
Really? Okay, so the point is, folks, Serenity is a terrible movie that Tiki likes because it's so terrible and I'm talking like it's like Ed Wood bad.
I like it because it's ambitious, man. I like it because it's like a swing and a miss in an epic way. It's like you're just like, man, they took a risk with this and it just did not pay off.
Imagine a movie with just really, really terrible dialogue that's just being played straight, and it's again being played straight in almost like a Room or an Ed Wood style bad, where there's no acting, again you have you have a great cast, you have some great caliber of actors here, just kind of
Matthew McConaughey, Anne Hathaway, Jimon Hunsu.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous, and you can't believe that's actually happening. And then this is based on what just him telling it to me. And again, I can't imagine what watching it would be like.
It's a trip. I've seen it twice in theaters. Dragon Serenity is my favorite movie of the year so far.
Which again just baffles me. He's turning on Cranston. He's putting this on a giant pedestal. That's the thing that just baffles me.
Dragon, it's my favorite movie of the year so far because it's so compellingly watchable. I mean, it's like this is one of those movies. As soon as I first saw it, I could tell like this is going to be in my repertoire, man. Like this is a movie that I'm going to hold on to. And it's a terrible movie, but it's so fun and it's so quotable. And there's so many like WTF, what the hell is going on moments in it. And that twist, well, we're not going to get into the twist, is just bonkers and bananas. And you just throw your arms up in here, just like, this makes no sense. And I love it. All right. Okay, so let's talk about a couple movies that you and I both saw, but these also happened to come out. A couple of them in 2018, one of them in 2017. Dragon, all the others except for Abducted are 2018, right?
The weird thing is, I think Abducted. Here's the thing: Abducted. There's a chance Abducted in Plain Sight could have been 2017. I think it might have been.
Abducted was 2017.
It might have been like a film festival circuit, though. I don't know if that if it actually.
Yeah, that's it. But it's still technically a 2017 movie.
Well, regardless, the point is, 2017. The one I mentioned at the very end, that's also 2017. So at least there are two 2017 movies. Basically, 2017 and 18 is what we're working with here, folks.
All right. Okay, so the Bill Murray stories. Dragon. This
full title. Bill Murray Stories, Life Lessons Learned from Mythical Man.
Yes. Dragon, this is one of those where I've definitely heard these stories, my friend. When I was in high school with my sister and her friends, it was just this legend. Like, Bill Murray would just show up. Dragon, the one thing about this documentary that kind of just got diffused was the whole idea that Bill Murray was such a troll that he'd just be like, and no one will ever believe you. Like, the no one will ever believe you thing. They set it up so well in the beginning, Dragon, and I was dying. I was dying with the whole, the bathroom incident with Bill Murray coming in and just putting his hands over the guy's face and just whispering in his ear. I was loving it. But what the documentary turns into, Dragon, is something a little bit more profound and sweet. And this is just such a good pick-me-up documentary, man.
I knew you were going to like this.
Every celebrity should aspire to be like.
Yep.
You want to tell the folks a little bit more about it?
It's a really unique documentary. It's kind of one of those pieces where you've seen these sorts of documentaries before, where it's a director with a mission. It's one of those stories where it's a director with a mission story where a director is hoping to encounter one of these famous Bill Murray stories, these famous, like, no one will ever believe you interactions. And basically what we do, we use that as the spine of the piece. And we learn about Bill Murray via these encounters. He goes to, like, the big sightings, again, as if Bill Murray were Bigfoot, which I love. The poster also has, like, Bill Murray's Bigfoot with these mythical interactions. But again, mythical in the sense of they seem mythical, but they actually did happen, as far as anyone could tell. So, basically, we learn about Bill Murray. We kind of track his history a little bit through these interactions, and we kind of, basically, as the film kind of goes on, it kind of gets into this kind of Tao of Bill Murray of it all. Basically, we kind of relate Bill Murray's life to his works in film, which is very interesting. And I think this is a very important question I need to ask you. Hugely important, because I think I hyped this up to you, but just in case, I gotta know. Did you see the post-credit scene?
Ah, shit, I forgot to.
Oh, Tiki, no!
I was very sick when I watched this movie, Dragon.
You don't understand. Tiki, the post-credit scene is the best of the Bill Murray stories.
Oh, man.
I mean, the best of them, man.
All right, I gotta go back and check it out.
All right, well, the point is that, folks, for anyone who has not watched this, I highly recommend it. It's a short little documentary. Again, it's
like an hour 20.
Exactly. It's an hour 20 minutes. It's unique. Again, I like the director kind of being our through line. Again, all the stuff that's in the segment is on the money, and that's how you, like, when it walks through everything you need to know about Bill Murray, where it's like, okay, well, with the interactions and everything, he's how you contact him with the I love how they use the infamous phone thing. I love how that's a fixture of the plot too. And of course, again, I've seen a few of these sorts of documentaries where, like, remember, I've told you about this once. In one of these days, one of these years, perhaps we'll do it on Spielberg month. Maybe there's the How I Met Steven Spielberg documentary. And it's kind of like this, but this is better. This is better, more contained, shorter, and again, keeps your interest a lot more. So again, I highly recommend this, especially if you're a Bill Murray fan. It's very unique. You don't see many documentaries like this, and it's just right. But again, folks, let me emphasize: stay till the end, watch till the very end. Really great post-credit scene.
And when you see this movie, Dragon, it's so good that no one will ever believe you.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to one of the most insane movies of 2018. One of my personal favorites. It was, I believe, number 8 on my top movies list. Sorry to bother you, Dragon. When you told me, as soon as you told me, like, Tiki, I watched Sorry to Bother You, I was like, oh, it's not your kind of movie, man. like you stumbled into the wrong theater, my friend. This is.
I thought it was the Jade Door. I thought it was the Jade Door.
Like I like it. Like I like it a lot. That doesn't mean you're gonna like it.
So I remember the marketing for Sorry to Bother.
What did you think about Sorry to Bother You? Because I think it's wholly original. It's not nearly as good as Get Out, but I feel like it has that same sort of like flavor as Get Out did.
Okay, so first of all, I remember the main reason I watched Sorry to Bother You because I thought it had a really good trailer and marketing. It had this style that really interested me.
But that's the thing. The trailer it shows like the first 20 minutes.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's the reason I looked into Sorry to Bother You. And I kept, like I said, maybe I'll see it in theaters, but of course I never was able to do that because other things are coming out, and I don't know. Basically, it might have been a limited release too. I'm not sure.
It was a limited release because I had a very hard time trying to find it in theaters. It was driving me crazy.
That's what it was. Okay, that's why I didn't see it. It was one of those reasons. Yeah, sure. Anyway,
yeah.
So the point is, I didn't see it because it was limited release.
I almost went to San Francisco to see it.
Anyway, so. I gotta tell you, this film I think starts very solidly. Again, that first 20 minutes, I really liked it. Really kind of solid and simple with really clever commentary, really kind of pointed, smart writing. That's some interesting kind of.
My favorite beat in this movie is the commentary on the the slave labor. And Dragon, I just think it's a hauntingly realistic take on wage gaps and debt and just I don't know, man. It just hit almost a little too close to home for me. It was very Orwellian, which I dug.
I think it's the perfect word for it. It is very Orwellian. There's a lot of Orwell in this movie. It's kind of Orwell kind of taken to a more kind of like it's kind of a more grounded Orwell. It's not grounded. It's more like a timely Orwell. It's like more modern. It's like a modern Orwell thing, even though Orwell's all about being modern, to an extent. This comparison's falling to pieces, as I'm saying. So let me the point is, so I think this movie's really well shot. And that's the main reason I really want to check this out. I think it's well shot. I like the structure. That basically when Cash calls somebody at the basically the whole telemarketing needs the telemarketing premise to me was ingenious. Okay, it's telemarketing, and of course he has to put on the white voice, which adds like a lot of the great commentary about like kind of success and all that sort of stuff. And basically when he makes the call stylistically, he's dropped into the middle of locations, which kind of feels like there's something off about it, something off in a really awesome way, where you kind of drop into the locations and the set and everything. So it's great. It's got some really great performances. However, I'm watching it, and then good old Armie Hammer shows up. I like some Armie Hammer. I've enjoyed him in a number of things. Armie Hammer, he's definitely again one of my. If I could pick a young Batman, I'd pick Armie Hammer. I'll say that much. I hope the WB is listening. Anyway, so things take a big turn. I'm talking like Shyamalan on cocaine, pretty much. So basically,
no, that's Serenity, Dragon.
Okay. All right. Shyamalan on a speedball.
That sounds about right.
Anyway, so the point being, the film, and again, I haven't seen BlacKkKlansman. Believe me, one of these days I'll add it to like one of these things once I can eventually. Believe me, I want to watch BlacKkKlansman. Just gotta wait till it's available. But the point is, I haven't seen that movie, but Tiki, I don't know if this is a comparison I told you. Tell me if this rings a bell. I think the movie basically after this turn, it kind of the whole movie as a whole then turns into BlacKkKlansman meets Get Out. Does that sound about right? Because I know I had a comparison.
I'm not really sure about the BlacKkKlansman part of it.
I had a comparison, but I forgot what the first part of it was, and I think BlacKkKlansman is the one I came up with, but I cannot remember.
I mean, I definitely see the Get Out, and the Get Out is even more there once the big turn happens, so...
Good. Well, regardless, the film, whatever combination I meant to say, the point is you definitely have the Get Out side of it with this twist onward. That's when the scary Get Out of it all takes place. Without saying what that twist is, it's here's the thing: it's not bad, but it's really unexpected and really strange.
Yep.
I'll say this much without saying what it is. It has great makeup. I'll give it that. It has really great, horrifyingly. I'm talking like Tusk, man. Oh, Tusk meets Get Out. Was that it?
You know what? It is Tusk meets Get Out.
That's what it was. That's what. Okay, I got it now. It was Tusk meets Get Out. That's what the twist is.
I really like that comparison.
Right. That's what the. Okay, that's what I was thinking. I think Klansman because of like the social commentary.
And the thing is, the creature effects, it is really good makeup, but the whole thing feels very exploitive and like kind of like almost like a grindhouse movie in certain elements, much like Tusk does.
That's what I'm saying. So that's the comparison I relate. Based on the twist onward, especially, it's definitely like basically. Let's say the social stuff. You have a lot of Get Out in there, and of course, then when things turn scary, also has some Get Out there. But again, Tusk in terms of how we realize that scariness, and that's the thing. It took a turn that again I would have been content without that turn. But by the same token, it's a turn that it's a gutsy turn that I do respect. But again, it's interesting to say the least. It's not a movie I don't think I'd be going back to, but it's a movie that's going to be sticking with me for a while, based on how kind of, based on how kind of strange and again, it's like a film unlike any other almost. That's the fascinating thing about it.
You know? All right. Oh boy. So speaking of a movie that's going to be sticking with me for a while, Dragon. Oh man. So I've been on kind of a true crime binge recently,
Yet still no Making a Murderer.
I know. Making a Murderer is a big time commitment, man.
Yeah, but it's worth it, man.
But point being, Dragon, I saw this documentary in my Netflix queue, and I was like, you know what? This premise sounds interesting. This poster art is really creepy. Let's give this a watch. The movie in question was a little documentary that's getting a lot of traction now that it's on Netflix. It's called Abducted in Plain Sight. Dragon, this is just, oh God. I mean, this is a fucking horror movie right here.
Pretty much.
I mean, this is some of the most horrific, just like insidious. Oh man, like I don't even watching the skin crawl, Dragon, and I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that in a bad way because I think it's super effective at what it does. Like it sets out to disturb you. It sets out to be like, how the hell is this happening, and why is the family letting this happen? But at the same point, I feel like it does a good job of not painting the family as bad. They're certainly naive for sure, but they're not bad people and they meant no ill will. And it's not like they ever wanted this shit to go down, but it did. And oh man, Dragon, this is one that it's going to be reeling around in my little noggin there for a while. It's going to be like the metaphorical bullet that's currently inside the proto Harley Quinn skull on Gotham.
Okay, real quick, there's a dark joke that did occur to me while I was watching. I'm sure the same dark joke occurred to you.
Oh God, what?
Well, remember the monster in question. His name is also Bob, and of course the father's name was Bob in the in real life. So therefore they shortened it his name to a letter, which was B. Now I'm sure.
Oh no! Oh God! Yes. I was. Yes.
Because I was thinking, of course, a running gag from the early seasons of Bates Motel.
You want to set up how exactly that? Just set up how exactly that running gag came about, Dragon. Just get you want to be an Imagineer meme history here.
Okay, folks, keep it simple. In the first season of Bates Motel, Norman Bates, the Anthony Perkins character from Psycho. In this prequel series, basically, he has a teacher by the name of Blair Watson. Now, Blair Watson, it was kind of revealed she had an affair with another character on the show, and this is revealed through a letter. And before we kind of put two and two together, that Blair Watson was this B person. B was kind of talked about like, who the heck is B? And basically, another character by the name of Bradley Martin. A lot of B's, by the way, just kind of coincidentally. Bradley Martin was finding some letters from her father. Her father was in a relationship with Blair Watson. We found out in the second season. So the point is, Blair Watson she finds these letters, and basically it's just that her father was having an affair with another woman. That was news to her, and she was very shocked by this. And Dylan, basically, she exclaims to Dylan Massett, lovable Dylan Massett, explains to him, "Oh my love, B, who's B?
Who's B?
Who's B?"
I don't know why. I don't know how. But you and I, my God, sometimes our sense of humor just gets on the wavelength, and you and I just both failed that delivery to be just the most oddly hilarious thing.
No, here's what made it, Tiki. Here's why it was a running gag. All right, because in the recaps they emphasize, and they possibly might have used a different take even for the recap. "Oh my love, B, who's B?" And then of course they shortened it on the recap, where they don't have like, "Oh my love, B, who's B?" They shortened it even further to, "Who's B?" Either that,
right.
It was either that, or they shortened it a little, but then they shortened it ultimately to, "Who's B?" And back when we had audio clips, we would play that clip a lot, like, "Who's B?"
Oh man, and it's just every time a B comes on, it just becomes a running gag. And Dragon, this is realizing this is very inappropriate to joke about with something this serious.
And yeah.
Dragon, when I recommended this movie to you, I told you that it might be one of the most devastating true crime documentaries since Dear Zachary.
Now, I see where you're coming from with that, and I think I don't think it's as dark as Dear Zachary, but it's in the ballpark. I'll give you that. And I get where you're going with that vein, but I mean, seriously, Dear Zachary is really screwed up.
It's basically Dear Zachary if everyone lived.
Pretty much. That if you give it that equivalency, I guess it's on the money.
Like, the story is just as fucked up. It's just it happens to not have any casualties.
I mean, here's the thing, T. Here's why I had a hard time kind of accepting that comparison, is because Dear Zachary, without saying what it is for all, I recommend people look into that, by the way. It's really good.
That's maybe a benchmark for true crime docs. It really is.
The point is, Dear Zachary has a moment, and Tiki knows exactly what this moment is. It is a big moment where this is the moment where whenever you say Dear Zachary, when I think of that movie, one moment comes to mind, a horrifying moment within that thing, without saying what it is. It's this moment where we reveal something really devastating, and we have like I think they use, like, it's not a Wilhelm scream, but it's like another, like, it's the guttural, like, kind of scream. It's like one of those movie sound effects, like they use in the Medallion. I know they use in the Medallion where it's like, it's like they rips the medallion from Jackie Chan. And the point is, it's this stock kind of guttural, devastating, like painful scream, and it's this big moment realizing how devastating this real life thing happened, and it's so guttural, and it chills my spine even thinking of that. And that's the sort of thing. That's the moment I was waiting for when I was watching that mention. There's a moment that's kind of like that, with what happens to be ultimately by the end of the movie. What happens to be at the end of the documentary is like, is that what he's talking about? I mean, yeah, it's kind of there, but it's the closest thing I can really equate to it. There are other horrifying things with it.
No, basically, what I was getting on with the Dear Zachary comparison is just the amount of twists and turns that this thing has. I mean,
right.
I just could not believe what was going down. I mean, especially after the first kidnapping, like, everything after the first kidnapping, Dragon, is just bananas.
That's right, folks. You said first. So just to give them the premise, by the way, because I think we're kind of bearing the loop without mentioning just generally what the premise is. Abducted and plain sight.
The premise is basically... go ahead. If you're going to do
premise, it. I'm sorry, if you want to do it, you can.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so basically, folks, the Abducted in Plain Sight is about a family where, the family has a neighbor, and that neighbor, B, but basically shortened to B. That neighbor, he gets really chummy with the family. He basically kind of orchestrates it so he can get close to the daughter, and he basically damages each member of this family. It's really twisted. He damages each member of this family. That's the thing that really haunts me. That's the haunting thing to me about this, because there's a scene with the father where the father really feels guilty about something that he did that kind of essentially is a chain of events that he says, and he has this great bit where he says, it's the worst thing I've ever done in my life. It's like, oh man, it's a sad, it's a good, I'm saying it's a great dramatic bit in terms of like,
absolutely. Like, obviously the thing with Jan, the oldest daughter, who's probably the main focus of the movie, Jan and B's relationship, that's definitely the most serious for sure. But yeah, this guy, it's just like, this guy just... Oh man, Dragon, I almost feel like we should do some sort of spoiler talk for it because there is some fucked up shit that I want to talk about.
Well, the point is,
You want to issue like a spoiler warning?
you know what? All right, sure. Okay, so yeah, okay, folks. Spoiler. Okay, well, let me say the premise first, and then we'll get into the.
Okay.
Okay, so again, the just the thing is, okay, so he gets really close to the Jan, and he kind of engineers the family, so he gets close to Jan, and he abducts her not once, but twice. He kidnaps her twice, and we kind of look into the whole thing's kind of looking into the tactics and the response to this, and again, it's also casting some shit.
Okay,
Aaron,
Dragon, to
yeah.
me, the biggest oh my god, what the fuck moment wasn't the second kidnapping. It was the fact that the mother had an affair with B after the first kidnapping.
Yeah,
That's just that's just it's insane. It's just oh my god. I mean, oh, it's so fucked up. I mean, that just goes to show the level of control this dude had over this family, man. Like, oh god, I don't know. Like, I'm still shooken up about it.
I
Like,
mean, with the exception of
I'm just like,
I can't remember, with the exception of maybe the sister. I mean, it kind of violates kind of each member of the family too, because even the father, again, a really, really haunting bit there. You know, it's like, you know, it's horrifying.
yeah, and he's constantly threatening the sister at the very least, and the sister is a big catalyst to to a lot of the stuff. um can we talk about how creepy that the alien mind washing shit is?
So essentially, folks, what happens is he's kind of using again this and folks this basically on the whole abducted in plain sight. It's a haunting cautionary tale. It's the best way I can
It's
phrase
crazy. It's just oh
because
man,
again, folks, again we don't mean to talk about this like it's
docs.
again it's not again it's a true crime doc in the sense of absolutely this like it's such a cautionary tale like folks and that's the real neat thing about this stick is that it shows you how lax things were in the 70s where terrible stuff could happen and you see that's the thing. It's like tragedy in every sense, and for every family member. In that, again, this is why helicopter parents are welcome. You know, that's the thing. Because back then it was every kid. Even we see this in a lighter context on F is for Family, where the kids can get in all sorts of stuff. But again, you look in the dramatic, real life implications of that. It's like yes, anything could happen to the kids in the 70s before people were warned about terrible things like this. Before certain things like this got out, before people kind of learned like your kids could be in real danger if you're not careful, if you don't look after them, if you let strangers into the house. Again, this was before strangers.
No. Here's the thing though, this guy, man, this guy, he was no stranger, buddy. Like this guy worked this family for years, man. Like before he ever attempted to do anything with the daughter, he was just, I mean, that's the mind-blowing thing about this whole story, Dragon, is just how much this guy committed to this family and got under their skin, and he just played them all for puppets. And you guys can tell with my voice, like I said, I just saw this thing yesterday, and I mean, it riles me up just thinking about it. It's especially because, getting a little personal here, I don't care. I feel like it relates to the subject at hand. Dragon, my mother, I love my mother to death. Everyone loves their mother, but my mother, she's not a good judge of character. I don't want to go into any more detail about it than that, but let's just say she's not a good judge of character. There's been some shitbags in her life. And my God, documentary strike a chord with that. It's just, I mean, and it goes to show how effective these people are, how good they are at it, where it's like, even when these people are abusing their victims, they're still doing it under the guise of like the good Christian family man, volunteer fellow who's the pillar of the community. It's just like, folks, we're talking like this guy is more smooth than Dexter Morgan.
Well, again, he's not necessarily. He could have killed her, but he didn't kill her. So that's the scary thing. That again, he in some.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, for someone who is obviously a total sociopath, like this guy is just he is slick. He is scary slick.
Yeah. To me, one of the most haunting sequences is towards the end, without going through everything about it. It's just the courtroom scene, man. The courtroom scene is what really disturbs me.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
He orchestrated a lot of stuff just to kind of get an audience with Jan again. That's scary.
Yeah, I mean, it's just whew, it's a movie that took me for a ride, Dragon. It's a ride.
That's the thing. It's a very interesting true crime piece. A lot of highlights kind of not only highlights kind of like the abuse that victims suffer, but also the lasting trauma and importantly the aftermath. Again, it's kind of looking at what happens. Again, as you said, with the whole affair in between kidnappings. Again, that's the sort of stuff this thing highlights. Again, folks, it's like it's almost like border. It's almost like again, this might be a poor comparison. It's like you would have like a documentary on human trafficking. And of course, that's something that's not really explored that much. And this is kind of in the vein of like when someone's kidnapped and kind of groomed by somebody almost, where it's someone like again, basically someone who's worked that much to kind of having basically being brainwashed and everything. And hence the whole aliens of it all there. Basically, he used again something you see in a human trafficking documentary about people being brainwashed or convinced or basically kind of having their personality being diluted to such a level where this girl was diluted, man, again to the point where she was trying to drop charges and stuff. Like it's crazy.
You know the most human in the whole thing, all right?
Okay.
And they go to pick up their daughter at the airport the first time that she's recovered, from being kidnapped, and they find her. And the father is just like, something's like this is not our kid. This is not our little girl. Something is wrong. And Dragon, the line that the father has of like, the sorrow I felt on that airplane flying home was just absolutely crushing. Oh God. Like it is just, and then you look at the timestamp of the movie and it's like less than halfway over, and you're just like, what next, man? Jesus.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so Dragon, will round things out with two movies that you saw that I haven't seen.
All right, so I got a little story with this next one. Okay, I'm going to keep this simple here. This is so when Batman the Animated Series was released to Blu-ray, the big kind of Blu-ray box sets they did, which by the way are selling like crazy, and they're still like essentially sold out or really expensive. Trust me, like in the original thing they put out, they're going to be redoing it because it sold that well. Like a limited run sort of thing. Anyway, so basically they went back through the episodes. They they made it in high definition, and they had a bonus disc or two, and essentially by that I mean also they threw in like Mask of the Phantasm and Sub-Zero, again presumably remastered as well, all on Blu-ray. So that's kind of what they did. They released it in the whole shebang. So that happened. Me, I already have like the box set. I have like two. Actually, I have two versions of the box set. I get like a big old thing that has everything. Then I have like I got them as they came out initially. So again, I have them all. So the point is, I like the old look. I like the aged look. I like cell dirt. I'm perfectly fine with it. I love the aged quality of the old Batman tape. So when this came out, I was like, I don't need the Blu-ray set. And I'm not saying that with any regret. I'm saying, well, believe me, if I had gotten it, I wouldn't, given how well it's selling, I probably wouldn't mind it. But it had stuff I didn't need. Like it had like three little pops that weren't at all the animated series, kind of pops. I'm sorry, I'm trailing off here. My point is, this Blu-ray set had one thing. Count them, one thing that I didn't have. One thing that I was fixated on, obsessed with. I think this came out in September to show you how long I've been obsessed with this. So there was a documentary on this called The Heart of Batman. I think the full title, as I came to find out, was Season of Darkness, The Heart of Batman. So basically a very comprehensive documentary on the making of Batman the Animated Series. And I've seen a number of, not documentaries, but it's like a number of little bonus features on those DVDs that I still have. So So the point is, I found out about this thing. I presume like, okay, it's probably gonna be on YouTube, like all the other bonus features are for Batman the Animated Series, like that. Because I made sure, like, okay, like I'm basically trying to convince myself to get the Blu-ray set because I realized, no, it's literally every single same feature I already have, with the exception of this one documentary. And I went out of my mind trying to find this thing every which way I could. I tried buying the standalone disc online. I almost buckled down and got the Blu-ray because basically I was just waiting for it to be uploaded somewhere, and for months and months and months, Nothing, nada. So I convinced myself, oh God, I'm going to have to get this thing. This is ridiculous. I'm going to have to buy the thing I already have. Again, I have the DC streaming service, which essentially means I already have all the episodes of Batman the Animated Series remastered. So I'm getting even less from this. So the point is, I'm going out of my mind for, oh my God, this documentary sounds so amazing. It's like an hour and a half documentary. It's not just like a little half hour thing, which I probably still would have been content with. It's like it's a feature length documentary essentially. Hour 20 minutes, hour like the Bill Murray length. And so I had that. I had to hunt for this like there was no tomorrow. Anyway, so the end of my Blu-ray quest came, I guess, a few months ago, like a month and change ago, where I finally uploaded on YouTube, and now it's in 2 parts. But essentially now, I was able to watch the whole thing, and I got to tell you, I was not disappointed with it. I had a good time with it. I recommend looking into it again if hopefully it stays up long enough for people to look into it. It's in basically 2 sections, like because they divvy it up within the 2 chapter headings. So there's Season of Darkness and Season of Light. In Heart of Batman, so just type that in, you'll find it presumably. But again, Season of Darkness, Heart of Batman, that's what the thing's called. Anyway, so what the thing consists of? It's very thorough. It's very thorough. It covers the beginnings perfectly of Batman the Animated Series. It's just my only issue with it is that it's a little incomplete for my taste. Basically, it's neglecting the network changes, like the revamp, the redesigns on the New Adventures of Batman, all that sort of stuff. So basically, it's neglecting 2 parts of it, because it's neglecting the redesign. They use clips from it, but they don't go over the whole, like we changed up the look because we wanted to streamline things. They don't cover that. And they don't cover the whole having to change the names of the show, because they start with Batman the Animated Series. Then were the Adventures of Batman and Robin, which essentially was Season 3 of Batman the Animated Series. And then, of course, the redesigns. That's how it went. They neglected to mention that, and unfortunately, they couldn't get a new interview of Mark Hamill because they used the old archival interview of Mark Hamill. And again, it's not that they couldn't get. I guess they had all they needed with Mark Hamill in the original interviews. So, yes, the point being, all of this. The big thing I got out of it most was there was some mind-blowing footage from these old publicity interviews from when Batman the Series was on like a radio station. I guess sent someone down, like a news station, sent someone down the interview about the Batman series that was all the rage, and they had some setup publicity stuff that I'd never seen before. Well, they had a guy in a Batman costume with lenses in the cowl, so it was like basically it's a Keaton Batman costume. It has the white lenses to look like the animated series Batman a little bit. And he's battling, but he's fighting the writers and the animators. It's like a staged fight. It's ridiculous. It's goofy as heck. But again, it was very informative. And again, it starts off in the perfect note. It has Tom Ruegger, our mecca for Tiny Toons, Freakazoid, Batman the Animated Series. Tom Ruegger, big producer extraordinaire, creator of our nostalgia, Tiki. Tom Ruegger, mark the words. Tom Ruegger, he opens the thing with this it starts beautifully, Tiki. It's the only thing I'm going to bore you with here. It starts beautifully where Tom Ruegger is reading off like an archival television academy sort of thing. It's like someone has archived Batman the Animated Series along with all the other great television shows throughout the years. I don't know if it's AFI or something, but that'd be Film Institute. It's like some equivalent of AFI. And he's reading through something that instantly is not true. It's hilarious. Where Tom Ruegger's reading the Batman the Animated Series was produced by Tim Burton. He just kind of breaks up laughing. I don't think that's true. And again, he's the producer, so he would know. I think it's perfect.
Yeah.
So that's great. Now, basically, my only wish is I wish Master of the Phantasm got this treatment because Paul Dini was in this thing, and it makes me wish because I knew they weren't going to focus on Mask of the Phantasm, but imagine if they did, man. Because Mask of the Phantasm still after 25 years, Mask of the Phantasm still has no bonus features. Nothing. Not a thing.
It's considered by more and more people to be the best Batman movie.
That's what I'm saying. And still, after all those years, they can't even get a commentary or anything together. There's only that HBO special they did way back when. That's 15 minutes. That's all. That's it. But anyways, the point is, I was happy with this, and I'd love to see them do more like this because again, this is a great little tribute to the 25 years plus of the Batman animated series. So it was good.
All right.
Well, that was worth the wait. So then we have something it was kind of egging at me because when you on Hulu and you look for documentaries, as I tend to do, you see a whole bunch of potentials or kind of things are always kind of thrown in your face, I'll get to it later, or maybe, and I'm looking for something new and fresh and stuff. And one that kept kind of being there that I finally got a chance to watch was Gilbert. And that's right, folks, Gilbert. Take a guess of who that Gilbert is. Gilbert Gottfried.
Chance to meet Gilbert Gottfried last year.
I'm sorry?
Monkey met Gilbert Gottfried last year.
Oh, good for him. But yeah, I got to tell you, T, I highly recommend this Gilbert documentary. It's on Hulu, and again, it's a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be like a little.
Does it go into the whole weird thing where his speaking voice is a lot more calm and collected than his on-stage voice?
Yes, that's the whole premise, Tiki.
It is? Oh, okay. You sold me right there.
Well, I mean, my point is like they address it from the get-go. I mean, basically, because again, it's an intimate interview that he's uncomfortable with, but again, because it's in his regular.
Okay. I got to see this. I got to see this now.
So that's the thing, Tiki. I didn't know it was going to be that. I thought it was going to be. Here's the thing, Tiki. The image of this thing is you probably again like I don't know if you've been like me when you've seen this thing pop up from time to time. You have Gilbert Gottfried in this.
Honestly, I've not seen it at all, but I don't really watch Hulu for anything other than Gotham, so.
Well, it's this image I kept seeing about this thing, where it's Gilbert Gottfried in this white fluffy robe.
Okay.
And it does like him, like kind of like bored with, just kind of looking there, like kind of like head on his.
And so you see that image, and you're probably just like, oh, it's like a fluff piece on Gilbert Gottfried. It's like
precisely.
It's kind of like just one of those. It's like a Bill Nye saves the world kind of situation.
Pretty much, maybe not the comparison I go for, but sure, yeah, that's exactly, yeah. That's the thing, but again, on the flip side, it was I was thinking like barely an hour. But it's like 90 minutes. It's like I think 99, it's either 90 to 99 minutes or stuff playing through the credits. It's a very intimate and surprising look into Gilbert Gottfried. I mean, it covers about everything. The only thing I wish it covered was the whole like he played Mr. Mixie Spitlick from he's done some work with Superman over the years. I wish they kind of put that in there, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. They cover Iago obviously, and Iago's a hilarious portion of it. The point is, it's a great intimate look into Gilbert Gottfried stuff. I knew nothing about. I mean, I knew a few of the landmark things that Gilbert Gottfried had done in terms of like how the reason Gilbert Gottfried is kind of a monolithic name in comedy because he did something really gutsy after 9/11. Say that much. So the point is, so that's basically the main thing kind of new about Gilbert Gottfried. But this thing, it's funny. It's got intrigue at the start with this kind of theme about his family. His family, again, there's a great kind of dramatic and kind of there's really, I don't want to say dramatic, but there's a really great kind of a familial line. It's like again,
you're selling me on this more and more. I'm just listening to you talk about it. I'm just like, yep, yes, please. That sounds really interesting.
It's like this intimate person.
When you start talking about the family, now you're just like, oh, so it's got like an element of The Boys to it now.
Yeah, and I mean, Tiki, at the start of it, there's this great bit, and again, it's kind of there's somewhat of an enigma about Gilbert Gottfried. Like we all know him this one way, and then right from the start, like again, you have this. Yeah, there's more layers to the guy. He's not just the guy with the loud Iago voice. It's like there's much more to him than that, and there's also like kind of there's a great story to him and like how he was brought up and kind of his kind of the old tragedy behind the comedy thing we usually have, and there's some great levels there. But again, primarily it's where he ends up compared to where he started, and it doesn't really go the way you've seen it done so many times before, Tiki, where it's like it's like, okay, so he started really diametrically on the opposite side of things. We don't, but again, it's more of like, how he is. We're going to show you how he gets from what how he is to where you've never seen him before now. And it's so current, Tiki. It captures, there's kind of a downfall story in it. It's up to date, big time, and it captures that in the story. So it's really, I didn't expect it to do that at all. I don't know if that's why they finally decided to make the documentary. I don't know. But it's great and it's worth looking into. So it's very surprising.
I gotta check it out for sure.
All right, so yeah.
All right, so Dragon, best movie you saw this month, or worst movie you saw this month?
Let me think for a second here. So best movie I saw this month is looking at the 2019 stuff here. Well, I'm kind of contemplating between one of the Fyre frauds and yeah, Rain was average. I can't say Rain is Superman. It was just average. Glass, again, the more I think about Glass, the more the ending kind of hurts it for me. So I can't go with Glass. And I'm picking between Fyres, and Upsides. That was a pleasant one. I wouldn't mind watching again. However, Fyre, again, I'm kind of fired out. That's the thing. So I'm kind of between the Upside and one of the Fyre documentaries here. If I had to pick between the Fyre documentaries, I'm probably going with Greatest party that never happened. Because again, even rewatching that again, it's really well made. It's really well made, constructed. Like theatrically, I'm going to say, believe me, I was saying Glass before that, but even with Glass, as much as I enjoy it, I got to tell you, I think I go basically just what's been happening with Glass, Tiki. I don't know. I think I might say the upside. I might say that. You know,
That's fair. That's fair.
Again, or if you had asked me a couple weeks ago, I would have said Glass, Tiki. I would have.
Okay. Okay.
So that's the interesting thing. So right now I'm gonna say upside, but who knows?
Dragon, the best movie I saw in theaters this month was Serenity.
Right.
And the worst movie I saw in theaters this month was Serenity. So that's all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say. Take that for what you will, man.
Okay.
Reality of the situation. I mean, Serenity was like by far the big flagpole highlight of the month for me. Like I just walked in expecting like a forgettable, like neo-noir McConaughey kind of sleepwalking through his performance. And what I got was something special in the realm of so bad it's good movies, man. Something special. Like something I can just dissect and talk about and analyze and just I love Serenity. For all the wrong reasons.
All right, so tell me this. Overall, how you summarize the month of January?
You know, it was a January. It was a January. I mean, I think it was like maybe mildly better than an average January, but you know, not by much. I mean, instead of having Split, we had Glass, you know, so that's kind of a downgrade right there. The two, you know, like I said, Dragon, Escape Room, I felt like did a lot for me, you know, to up the average of this January, because most first week of January horror movies are just absolute garbage, and Escape Room is not absolute garbage. Like it's not a masterpiece by any means. It barely skates by getting by what I would call a good movie, but it is a good movie. You know, it's a fun time. So, you know, and even the most forgettable thing I saw this month, which was The Upside. I mean, hey, at least that's got a good Kevin Hart performance, and him and Cranston have a good chemistry with each other. So, Dragon, really, my issue with The Upside is more that I feel like Green Book just really, really, really overshadows it.
I mean, Tiki, sure, but the only real comparison to Green Book is that it's chemistry between actors, and in that they're kind of it's not really the same movie, Tiki. That's why
I mean, to be fair, it's chemistry between actors.
Yeah,
it's about one of the guys, society type, who hires the other guy to take on an extraneous situation. The guy he hires has some shady history behind him. Yeah, I mean, there's comparisons to be made, Dragon.
Yeah, you gotta. Okay, nice. Look, okay,
like
fine.
There's literally a job interview scene that takes place in a penthouse.
All right, look, I'll give you this. Okay, you're not wrong. Okay, you're not wrong about those comparisons. Now you bring them up. Okay, you're not wrong about that. However, again, it's kind of a fun and light movie, and that's kind of honestly my thoughts on January. It's kind of a fun and light kind of opening to the year. Basically, January to me is a solid baby step into 2019. It's a solid step, a little shaky, but you're not falling over. You know, it's not amazing, but it's a solid step.
All right. Dragon, to end out the podcast, let's go over some movies coming out in February that we may or may not see in theaters.
Well, for me, I got two I know right off the bat. So there's
well, of course, the one that we're both going to see this week, and we'll probably have a spoiler cast out for, is the Lego Movie 2.
Yep, Lego Movie 2, and of course later there's How to Train Your Dragons.
I'm keeping my expectations in check for Lego Movie 2. I'm just kind of going in like just hoping for a good time, hoping for something maybe on the same level as Lego Batman, not the original Lego Movie. How to Train Your Dragon 2, though, is a different story. My expectations are very high for that.
Yes, 3.
But Dragon, just for fun, can I run through some of them that you're probably not going to see?
Well, there's one that I would like to see, but chances are I'm probably not going to see it.
Okay, well, let's just run down the list here.
All right.
So What Men Want, Dragon. What Men Want.
That movie bugs me. You know why? It's just like,
Why?
didn't we say everything we wanted to say with Women? One of all the movies, you're gonna bring back, and two, you're gonna do a gender swap with. Really? It's like why? It's come
My,
on.
my my favorite thing about What Men Want is that it shows that Jordan Peele is like an iconic to actually like get referenced in like an A grade comedy.
It's like the funniest thing in that trailer is that Get Out gag about the teas. I thought Black
That's what I'm
Virginia was
saying. That's
funny.
what I'm
That's like
saying. Yeah.
that's the only good joke. That's the only good joke in that. I feel bad for that actress.
And then the mask gag at the end of the trailer that I keep having to watch is just disgusting.
Wakanda for oh
Yeah,
god.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Look, here's where they go too far with me on that. All right, okay, look, you want to do okay. The kid's wearing the black underpants on the head, and of course, he's in Wakanda forever. Okay, ha ha ha. But then we have to take it too long. Why does the guy have to say "Don't breathe"? And that's creepy, man. Why? It's like, come on,
All
look,
right,
you have the anyway.
so safe to say that you and I probably will not be seeing What Men Want.
Unless I get married in how many? When does that come out?
It's literally coming out Friday.
Yeah, unless I get married before Friday, I'm not seeing that movie.
All right. Oh God. Okay. So Dragon. Next we have Liam Neeson starring in Mistletoe. I
Okay,
mean,
so that's the one I wouldn't mind seeing, but it's one of those. If I have to pick, I gotta wait for it. Like the same way I saw
Dragon. This is gonna come on Netflix eventually. I'm gonna wait for it to stream, man.
that's the thing. It's like the commuter for me.
It's,
I'll wait till it comes on Amazon. It's sort of
right. Right. The Prodigy is a movie that I'm actually kind of interested in because it is horror. Having said that, I'm going to kind of wait and see on the reviews. If the reviews aren't good, then I probably won't see it. If the reviews are good, I probably will see it. That's kind of how I do horror movies. When I see a bad horror movie, I crawl like Winchester. I really didn't like Winchester. Anyways, I'm sorry. Let me. That was okay. Dragon, I'm definitely going to be seeing Happy Death Day to You. I really like the first movie. I'm really looking forward to the second one. I don't think I'm going to be scared by that movie or anything. I just dig the Groundhog Day as a slasher movie premise. Dragon, what do you think of Alita Battle Angel?
well. That is February.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
okay, so that one Valentine's Day.
Okay, so that one legitimately, I will. I'm gonna see if I can. I'm gonna try to see that, but again, I probably won't be seeing it when it comes out, like directly when it comes out. I mean, I'm gonna try to see it maybe the weeks after it comes out. But I would like to see that. Is what I'm saying. That looks great. Probably like
this is going to be a movie. I have a feeling where it's going to be kind of like Valerian. It's going to be kind of like Valerian because my dad wants to see it, and I probably wouldn't see it on my own. But since my dad, it's like one of those sci-fi films that appeals to my dad's demographic. You know what I mean?
I think it has great marketing. It's really good trailers. It looks wonderful. I got to be honest. That movie.
I mean, it certainly looks way better than Mortal Engines.
Sure. It has a great cast too. We got Mahershala Ali, we got Ed Skrein. We got, of course, the great and powerful Christoph Waltz. I mean, it looks like a winner to me. It looks good.
Dragon, do you know anything about Isn't It Romantic?
I know that. Do you have anything else you can kind of feed me on that one? Because I got.
Yeah, it stars Liam Hemsworth and I'm sorry, and Amy and Rebel Wilson. Rebel Wilson's the main star.
Oh yeah, I've seen the trailers for that.
Yeah, it's the movie where she gets stuck in the romantic comedy.
So one thing I had one moment when I was watching that trailer, it was like, oh look, it's Tom Ellis, the guy who plays. I'm sure Winter Eyes. If he watches this later on, he and I were getting into a spirit thing. We're both big Lucifer fans. So the guy. So here's the thing. That guy. It's a really brief gag in the trailer. And I'm not going to see that movie at all. But my just me piecing together what's going to happen there. she wakes up and she's greeted by a handsome doctor. And it's like basically where she has a line where it's like, no doctor's that handsome. And then that's the thing where basically it's Tom Ellis who plays Lucifer Morningstar on the show. Lucifer. It's like, oh, like I was in the theater, like nudging, like, oh my God, it's Lucifer. Look who it is.
I mean, I got to admit, Dragon, this is going to be one of those where, like, I'm not expecting much from it, but the trailer sold me enough on the premise. It's a funny enough premise that I think is pretty original that I'm probably going to catch this one in theaters. Like, it'll probably be, like, just a way to kill a Sunday afternoon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm kind of over Rebel Wilson. At this point, I'm just kind of done with her.
Well, I'm over folks like Amy Schumer way more than I am over Rebel Wilson. But anyways, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not expecting much from it, but I would be kind of surprised if I didn't end up seeing this, just because I'm one of those weird fucks who just love theaters as much as I possibly can. So yeah,
lucky.
And then Dragon, of course, the big tentpole movie for February is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. This is a movie that we weren't even sure it would come out or not, because the How to Train Your Dragon 2, fucking wonderful movie, one of my all-time favorite animated sequels. Just, oh my God, just talk about an epic movie. It underperformed a little bit. It didn't make as much money as it should have, given how good it was. And so we were wondering if we would get How to Train Your Dragon 3, but of course we are. It is one of the big tentpole DreamWorks franchises. And Dragon, I'll go as far as to say, if How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is as good as 1 or 2, this is probably going to be up there with Toy Story as one of the best trilogies ever. I'm not saying it's as good as the Toy Story trilogy. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. It's not. All right? It's just not. It's simply not. But I don't know, man. Like if the Hidden World is as good and it doesn't if it doesn't stumble at all and it really sticks to landing like it looks like it's going to, I could consider saying that this trilogy is better than, say, the Star Wars trilogy, because Return of the Jedi is a little bit messy.
As much as I love... Here's the thing. Toy Story 4, as excited as I am for it, and here's the thing, good or bad, Toy Story 4, whatever's going to have with that movie. I'm going to be sweating bullets when that movie comes out, for both, out of pride and both out of just like, oh, God, it doesn't do well. The point is, the one frustrating thing I do feel that Toy Story 4 anyway is sliced is that, now it complicates the whole the trilogy thing, because, now it's got a 4th movie, and that's the one thing that bugs me about Toy Story 4 in premise alone. It's like, well, we had, it was perfect trilogy. I'm not saying the 4th one couldn't be good. I'm just saying it's like, it's like you could just package it as the best cinematic trilogy ever, or the best animated trilogy ever, and then you have of course, now when How to Train Your Dragon finishes up, chances are it's not going to get a 4th movie. So we can't say it's Toy Story is the better trilogy because it has a 4th one now. It's like, oh, God. Curse you! That's just going to be frustrating. But yeah, you're right. There's that divisive DreamWorks. They were really floundering at the time the sequel came out, and that's why we're really unsure if it's going to have a 3rd one. So I'm pulling for it, man. I think it's going to be good.
I gotta say though, I'm not exactly in love with the whole idea of hey, let's make the big plot in this movie a love story.
Yeah, that's the one thing. It's
now.
I love the F. Murray Abraham stuff is what I'm seeing the movie for. That's what's got me fascinated. That's the bad guy of that film. They write that Light Fury stuff. It
could be really good. Toothless is a damn good character, and and we want Toothless to be happy, and it could be super charming, Dragon. That's the thing.
And you gotta remember, this was the whole premise of the first movie. Well, one of the big things with Toothless in his introduction to the first movie, Night Furies are very rare, and you didn't see a lot of them. The fact that Toothless has been kind of looking for others of his species. In this case, he's finally found one. So again, it's closing.
To me, the biggest flaw I have with Back to the Future Part 3 is that I just don't think that Doc Brown is a character that needs a love interest at all. I think his character exists outside of the realm of a love interest.
Oh, we do love Mary Steenburgen, though.
And she's fine, but I mean, I just don't like the idea of Doc Brown getting with someone. To me, he's just such a larger than life character who literally exists outside of space and time. And so, I don't know. For that reason, I like it's kind of the I feel like basically what I'm trying to say is I feel like I'm projecting my worries over this subplot and How to Train Your Dragons 3 because I don't like Back to the Future Part 3. And I have a feeling it's not going to be as I have a feeling it's going to be honestly really sweet. Honestly, Dragon, when we get into the theater, I have a feeling that we're going to be won over by it.
I mean, look, it's the only concern. Again, I know some diehard How to Train Your Dragon fans as well, and they're also very. That's the one thing they're trepidatious about because again, that trailer looks great, and then of course we hit the life here, which looks great, but again, the problem is it looks like two movies, and that's my biggest fear going into it. Like, again, it might be a cute movie. I just hope it's not going to overshadow things too much. It's going to be worked in naturally. That's the thing.
Fair enough. All right, so Dragon, that's about it, my friend. We have kind of hit everything we want to hit. Next time we talk, and next time we, well, I mean, obviously we'll be doing a lot of talking between now and then, but next time we do one of these movie memoirs, I'll have been back from my Knott's Berry Farm trip happening in less than 3 weeks, which I'm really excited for. And yeah, we'll cover Dragon. As of now, I believe we're probably going to do spoiler cast for the 2 big animated movies coming up this year, right?
Yes.
This month, I mean.
Well, yes, just a question of when for How to Train Your Dragon, but yes, we'll be covering them. Yes.
So I don't know. I have a feeling that February's memoirs might be a little shorter because there's really not much outside of those 2 animated movies that either of us are that interested in seeing. Like, like I said, it's like if anything, I'll see the stupid romantic comedy on a Sunday when I have nothing to do. But I'm not.
Well, there's a new movie on Netflix I've been meaning to get to as well. So we'll have some stuff to cover, even with some 2019 stuff like Mads Mikkelsen is a movie.
No, okay. All right, fair enough. Well, Dragon, thank you for joining me here. I think this was a very successful launch of the podcast. I really enjoyed our time doing this. I think the time just flew by. I feel like we've got a good format going on, and I'm excited to keep it going, my friend.
All right.
So, well, folks, we've waxed on long enough. It's time to put the pen down. Until next time, when we return for another fitting chapter in our movie memoirs. Put the pen down.
Want me to put the pen down?